Chapter 786. That's impossible. What was a martial arts insulator? It meant that her body structure was different from ordinary people. Without meridians, she was born unable to practice martial arts. It was like saying that the circuit board of a computer was broken. Naturally, you couldn't make it work anymore. If you wanted to make it work, you had to change the circuit board. But a computer could be disassembled to change the circuit board, but could a human be disassembled to change the meridians? That was obviously impossible. Who knew what Liao Wuxuang had experienced to have such a drastic change? Moreover, looking at her appearance, it was obvious that she had some experience in martial arts. This kind of adaptability during a fight was not something that could be learned easily. What happened to Liao Wuxuang? Cheng Mo-hun couldn't figure out the mystery. At this time, Liao Wuxuang attacked again. Liao Wuxuang suddenly appeared on Cheng Mo-han's right side. Her two fingers were like highly poisonous hornet stinger, quickly and accurately piercing towards Cheng Mo-han's temple. Cheng Mo-hun immediately retreated more than 10 meters to avoid Liao Wuxuang's attack. Although Liao Wuxuang's strength was very different from hers, she didn't know why this woman gave her a very scary feeling. Every time she made a move, it was a terrifying killing move. If she was hit once, she would be seriously injured even if she didn't die. Cheng Mo-hun had to keep a distance from Liao Wuxuang. Moreover, her sound wave attack was a long-range attack. Fighting in close combat was very disadvantageous for her. However, Liao Wuxuang followed Cheng Mo-hun like a shadow. Relying on her unique footwork, she almost never left Cheng Mo-han's side. At the same time, she attacked Cheng Mo-hun with either the heart-destroying palm or the venomous tail needle like a storm. Cheng Mo-hun was getting more and more shocked. If Liao Wuxuang had shown such talent in the past, she wouldn't have been kicked out by Lord Liao. It was too strange, really strange. But Cheng Mo-hun was Cheng Mo-hun, the leader of the 4 dark guards of the Genie Guards. She believed that she was different from the other embroidered uniform guards. Only she truly thought for the embroidered uniform guards because she loved Sir Liao deeply. As for the others, they were all incompetent people who only thought about themselves. The Genie Guards didn't need these people. Cheng Mo-hun wanted to kill Liao Wuxuang. She couldn't let this woman who betrayed the Genie Guards live. Executing her was more important than executing Li Fan. Thinking of this, Cheng Mo-hun suddenly slid backward. Her whole body displayed exquisite qigong and directly slid backward for more than 30 meters, landing on the roof of a car in the distance. At the same time, she put away the jade flute and sat cross-legged on the roof of the car. She stretched out her hand and pulled out a zither from the corner of the side with her true qi, placing it on her legs. Liao Qianqian, this execution is for you. As Cheng Mo-hun spoke, she began to play with both hands. Li Fan and Liao Wuxuang immediately heard an impassioned melody. The melody was infused with true qi, and unexpectedly formed the appearance of an axeman. It directly appeared beside Liao Wuxuang, raised the axe in its hand high, and heavily chopped down on Liao Wuxuang's neck. This move was so sudden that most people would not expect it and would find it difficult to guard against it. Li Fan was a little shocked. He did not expect that Cheng Mo-hun actually still hid such a killer move. This move, Liao Wuxuang could not dodge at all. But at this time, Li Fan forcibly pulled Liao Wuxuang in front of him with the dragon toad's absorption of water. Bang! The heavy axe chopped on the ground, leaving a deep knife mark on the ground. It was a shocking sight to see. The axeman slowly disappeared. But Cheng Mo-han's move was also very amazing, which made Li Fan very surprised. As expected of the 4 great black guards, the elites of the elites. This is the internal affairs of the Genie Guards, there is no need for you to intervene. Cheng Mo-hun looked at Li Fan uncomfortably. That move just now could have killed Liao Wuxuang. Unexpectedly, Li Fan interfered and saved Liao Wushuang's life. Liao Wushuang also breathed a sigh of relief, feeling a little scared. It seems that my strength really needs to be strengthened. It is indeed too difficult to fight with someone whose strength is so much higher than mine. Not only is it difficult, but it is also accompanied by life-threatening danger. Since when do you have the right to decide my affairs? Li Fan bluntly looked at Qing Mohan. If you want to touch Liao Wushuang, you have to go through me first. Qing Mohan was a little angry. The best time to kill has passed. Now that Li Fan has fully guarded against her, it is too difficult to kill him. Li Fan, don't be too proud. Qing Mohan gritted her teeth. This debt, my genie guards will not forget. Unfortunately, your strength is not enough to speak like this. Li Fan said, with a bounce of his foot, his whole body suddenly appeared in front of Qing Mohan. Qing Mohan was taken aback, immediately playing the zither, releasing a melody wrapped with true qi, forming a barrier, trying to block Li Fan's attack. But Li Fan's qilin palm has already hit the barrier. Bang! Li Fan's palm directly broke Qing Mohan's defense, stopping in front of her face. Qing Mohan was almost scared out of her wits. If not for Li Fan stopping, her head would have been blown away. After the last fight with Murong, Li Fan's strength actually did not retreat. This man. How can he be so strong? Qing Mohan suddenly began to doubt, is he stronger than Liao Darren? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Liao Darren is the real son of heaven. He should unify Jianghu, even unify China, and then unify the world. But why did Li Fan suddenly appear out of nowhere? Qing Mohan was somewhat annoyed. She can't wait to kill Liao Wushuang, kill Li Fan, but her ability is not enough. See you later, Li Fan. Qing Mohan turned around, using her qinggong to prepare to leave. But Li Fan sneered, stretched out his hand. He only needs to use Dragon Toad's absorption of water to drag this woman back. But Liao Wushuang stretched out his hand and grabbed Li Fan's wrist. Forget it. Li Fan tilted his head, looking at Liao Wushuang with a puzzled look. She wants to let it go like this. No matter what, he is a member of the Genie Guards. Although I have no relationship with that person, I don't want to make things too awkward. Liao Wushuang thought, if he personally came to deal with Li Fan, it will be terrible. Although Qing Mohan is a bit difficult to deal with, at least she can't beat Li Fan. But if her father comes, then it's hard to say. For the sake of Li Fan's safety, this time, she can only bear with it. I'll listen to you. Doing Liao Wushuang a favor is nothing for Li Fan. But whether Qing Mohan appreciates it or not, it's another matter. The two of them left the underground parking lot, but Bruce still sat there blankly, unable to wrap his head around it. What the hell is going on? Chapter 787. Qing Mohan fled back to the branch of the Genie Guard. Last time, the branch in a city was destroyed by Li Fan and Yan Kai. Now, the branch was built again. Because the Genie Guard was currently understaffed, there weren't many people in the branch, not even a commander. Qing Mohan was the only person in charge here, handling all the affairs of the Genie Guard. Below her, there was a Qianhu. However, that Qianhu was obviously a money grubber. He ran the Genie Guard to make money for himself. He had no intention of killing Li Fan. To him, Li Fan was a bomb. Anyone who touched him would be blown up. Many Genie Guards had failed because of Li Fan. The 4 black guards had almost been overturned, not to mention those so-called commanders in Qianhu. She was the only one in the entire Genie Guard who wanted to kill Li Fan. For Lord Liao, Li Fan had to die. His potential was too great. If she didn't kill him, he would be a great threat to Liao Wushuang. She had to find a way to kill Li Fan. It was time to use any means necessary. Qing Mohan made up her mind. This time, she had to play hard on Li Fan. Li Fan wasn't in the mood to think about the genie guard. His fiefin escort agency had officially opened for business. Although it had been operating before, it was all underground because it didn't have a business license. However, things were different now. Under Zhou Tai's care, fiefin escort agency obtained legal procedures and could finally open for business and make money. Especially when Li Fan's business was at a low point, many forces in the Jianghu had to give face to Murong's family. After all, Murong Villa was unparalleled in the Jianghu. The only one who could barely compete with him was the Sima family in the south. However, the Sima family wasn't on good terms with him either. He had tormented them many times. He had offended the two great clans. The Jianghu was too small and there were too many disputes. Murong Bo, that old fellow is too arrogant, I can't let him continue to dominate. Li Fan looked at the mirror and said to himself while adjusting the tie on his suit. Let me help you. Standing at the side, Xia Ho could not help but chuckle when she saw how flustered Li Fan was. When the beauty smiled, all the flowers dimmed. This was Xia Ho's charm. Even Li Fan found it hard to resist. It seemed that little senior sister was getting more and more beautiful, and her personality was also getting more and more gentle. A lot of things in his life were taken care of by Xia Yan. Murong Ying and Tai Zhu had already left. In the past, it was Tai Zhu who took care of his life. Now, it was Xia Yi who took care of him. Xia Ho stood in front of Li Fan. Her face was very close to Li Fan's, and her forehead was in front of Li Fan's mouth. As long as Li Fan slightly bowed his head, he could kiss little senior sister's forehead. But she was very serious about tying Li Fan's tie and did not notice the charming atmosphere. Li Fan also put away his little thoughts. Little senior sister Xia Yi really treated him like a little brother. How could he have any improper thoughts about her? But, little senior sister's hair smells really good. Li Fan could not help but reach out his hand and secretly slap himself. What's wrong? Xia Yi just finished tying Li Fan's tie and was a little surprised to see him slap himself. There are mosquitoes. Li Fan laughed dryly. This matter was not easy to explain to little senior sister. If it was painful, he could only silently endure it. The people outside have been waiting for a long time. Let's go out. Xia Yi helped Li Fan adjust his cuffs. After checking that there was no problem, she let him go. Today was the first day of business. As the boss of the company, Li Fan naturally had to be more formal. There were not many guests today. Li Fan's reputation was not very good now. It was estimated that it would not be the same as last time when the security company opened for business. Li Fan and Xia Yi left the room together, walked through the corridor, and went outside. They chose a business suite on the central street, which was quite close to Wanda Plaza. Li Fan's name was Extraordinary Logistics, and the slogan was Extraordinary Speed and Safety. This was a two-story building with a small attic. The first floor was the lobby, and the second floor was the office. Li Fan lived in the small attic on the third floor. Although the attic wasn't big, it was still quite warm. The furniture inside was made of wood and looked antique. Li Fan liked it very much. Xia Yi lived in a guest room downstairs, and the conditions were a little better than Li Fan's. However, when choosing, Li Fan chose the attic at first glance, so he ignored Xia Yi's dissuasion and moved everything in. This building was developed by Lu Xinnan's group, and Lu Xinnan sold it to Li Fan at the cheapest price. Because there were other shareholders in the building, Lu Xinnan couldn't just give it away. Fortunately, Li Fan had just made a big deal and had a lot of working capital, so he didn't have to worry when buying this small building. With Xia Yi living with him and taking care of Li Fan's daily life, Li Fan had a lot of worries. He and Xia Yi walked out of the room and went outside. The sun was shining brightly. As Li Fan had expected, it was deserted outside the door. There was not a single person who came to celebrate. "Junior brother, it's windy outside. Come in and take a rest." Xia Yi didn't expect that there would be no one outside. Based on Li Fan's status in the pugilistic world in the past, there should be many people in the pugilistic world congratulating the opening of his escort agency. But now, the situation had changed to such an extent. This was too much. When Li Fan was doing well, those people in the pugilistic world called him brother and couldn't wait to lick his dick. Now, they can't even see a fart. Yan Kai was dressed extravagantly and had a handsome face. He sat in the hall, but his tone was very unfriendly. Clearly, he was angered. The people in the pugilistic world are just a so-so. Guan Wenbao was like a martial god. He held a crescent blade and stood at the side with his eyes closed. He couldn't help but interrupt when he heard Yan Kai curse. Chen Junhua was the only one who didn't say anything, as if he didn't care about the matters in the pugilistic world. To him, the most important thing was to learn the most powerful sword technique and become the king of the sword Dao. Chen Junhua didn't care about other things at all. Li Fan understood that Chen Junhua was even more of a martial arts fanatic than Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao liked to practice martial arts to revive the family's reputation and let the world know the Guan family's name again. Big Dipper sat there and drank tea leisurely. "Don't worry. The pugilistic world is so big. There are bound to be people who need our help. Thank you for your kind words." Li Fan cupped his fists. "But it'd be great if there really is such a person." Just as Li Fan finished speaking, someone pushed open the door and entered. "Excuse me, is this the escort agency?" Chapter 788. Li Fan and the rest quickly turned around. A man in plain clothes pushed open the door and entered. He looked travel-worn. He looked hurried. After entering, he first looked around the room. There was a large hall opposite. 2 armchairs were placed there, and Extraordinaire's escort flag was hung on the wall. The man seemed to hesitate for a moment, but when he saw that the chief escort sitting in the hall was a young man, he became even more uncertain. "Is it really an escort agency?" "Yes, it is. Don't worry." Xia Yi welcomed him and asked him to sit down. Then, she handed him a cup of hot tea. "Please take a seat. What kind of escort would you like to escort, sir?" The man's expression became much better when he saw Xia Yi. It was obvious that a beauty's power was different. "Ah, I'm indeed escorting an escort. However, this is a treasure passed down from my ancestors. I'm a little worried if I find a random escort agency." "Don't worry. Our escort agency guarantees a compensation of 1 to 10. Xia Yi introduced Extraordinaire's mission. "If your item is lost, we will compensate you 10 times the price. We can sign a contract with you. Don't worry." "How do you set the compensation price?" the man asked cautiously. "This is a treasure passed down from my ancestors. It's priceless. If you set a low price, wouldn't I be at a disadvantage? You can look for an appraisal center to appraise it. We guarantee that we will not cheat you." Xia Yi emphasized again and even took out a contract. "You can take a look at our contract. It's tailor-made for our customers. We definitely put our customers first. Don't worry. How much do you charge?" The man seemed to be here to do business. He began to talk about money. "That depends on the package you choose." Xia Yi pointed at the experts present. "We will provide you with different packages according to the route and manpower. Here are the packages. You can take a look. Your fees are quite expensive." These are already discounted prices. After all, our escorts are real experts. For the first time, Li Fan felt that his little senior sister was quite eloquent. Look, these are all heroes, especially Chief Escort Li Fan. He's already a little overlord in the pugilistic world at such a young age. He created the top 10 martial arts in the Divine Skill Manual. He's the chief escort. The male customer looked at Li Fan from head to toe. It was as if he wished his eyes could grow X-rays and shoot through Li Fan. But Li Fan just sat there. He was a young man, but his face looked mature. The man couldn't see through him at all. Was this youth really that powerful? All right, since I'm already here, I hope we can seal the deal. The man said, but if you can't handle it, then I'm sorry, I'll come every day and smash your shop. Sure. What's your bodyguard and how much you pay? As the boss, Li Fan had the final say. He accepted the job. After all, it was the first job for the escort agency after it officially opened for business. He had to do it well. Hidden darts. However, the man did not take out his dart. Instead, he said, "You shall bear the responsibility yourself." Brother, the price of a hidden dart is expensive. Li Fan's eyes sharpened. It's expensive, but it's worth it. The customer gritted his teeth and stomped his feet. I want to deliver it to Tianjin port. You guys have to escort me there overnight. Sure. Which package do you want? The luxurious one or the economical one? I want the medium one. 3 experts will escort the dart together. Sure. Li Fan nodded. Normally, I shouldn't do anything if you choose this package. But you're lucky this time. We've just opened for business. I'll give you a discount and personally escort the dart. Although you're the chief escort, I don't know what you're capable of. But no matter who goes, the dart must be delivered to me safely. Sure. Li Fan agreed. As long as they could open for business, he would give them a discount. Once the agency's reputation was established, the money would naturally be earned back. I'll go with you guys. The customer urged. It's best if you leave now. I'll transfer the advance payment to you immediately. So urgent. Li Fan was surprised. I was thinking of going after the Mid-Autumn Festival. Tomorrow was the Mid-Autumn Festival. Li Fan had planned to go shopping or have a meal with little senior sister, Lu Xinan, and Liao Wushuang. Li Fan had planned to have a good rest when he finally got a holiday. He did not expect things to happen again. Yes, it's time. You guys don't have any other business today. You can serve me. All right. Sign the contract. Li Fan waved his hand and signed the contract for the customer. The customer's name was Li Jun. They were from the same sect. There was a trace of panic in his expression. It seemed that the thing he was escorting away was indeed an extremely precious treasure. Although Li Fan was curious, an escort had his own principles. He wouldn't ask, let alone look at the hidden dart. Tell Lei to drive for us. Other than me, Old Guan and Yen Kai will be the ones in charge of escorting them. It had been a long time since he brought these 2 clowns on a mission. Li Fan felt that they must be bored and decided to bring them out for a stroll. Brotherly, I want to go too. Chen Junhua expressed his thoughts directly. He had always been direct and did not beat around the bush. I know you want to gain experience. But if you leave too, Senior Big Dipper will be the only one guarding this place. Although he's skilled in martial arts, he's still getting on in years. It's better to have someone to order around. It's fine. I'm still in my prime. Don't worry about it. Big Dipper said with a chuckle as if he didn't want to admit his age. Plus, I have a bad feeling about this. After I leave, there will definitely be strong enemies visiting this place. Then I'll stay here. Chen Junhua agreed. It's not a bad idea if there are strong enemies. Li Fan made some arrangements, and finally, under the urging of the client, Li Jun, he walked out of the door. Huang Lei had already prepared a Buick GL8. This was a new car bought by his company and was specially used for logistics. The car was still new and there was the smell of genuine leather seats. Let's go. We'll go to Tianjin port overnight. For escorts, the road was the only choice. Because many people's escorts were not suitable to be exposed to the public. Otherwise, it would attract unnecessary trouble. Li Jun's dart was probably the same. That was why they chose to take the road. Brother, are you in a hurry to go home for the Mid-Autumn Festival? Why are you in such a hurry? Huang Lei was a chatterbox. He couldn't stop talking along the way. He found a topic and started chatting with Li Jun. Chapter 789. Huang Lei's character has always been like this. He doesn't care if the other person wants to talk or not, he just talks endlessly. Li Jun obviously doesn't want to chat with him. Along the way, he only says one sentence at a time. Huang Lei is getting more and more happy. After all, he is responsible for driving long distance. Having someone to chat with can also reduce the mental pressure. Li Jun seems to be a bit annoyed. He looks at the navigation on his phone and knows that there is a service station not far away. Brother, please stop at the service station in front. I want to get off. What? Get off. Not going to escort. Huang Lei was surprised. He almost drove the car down the cliff. No, I want to go to the toilet and smoke. Li Jun explained with a rather impatient tone. Okay. Huang Lei nodded. He approached the service station and parked the car on the side of the road. He let Li Jun get off to smoke. Autumn in the north is relatively cold. Huang Lei is wearing a thick cotton coat. Li Fan and Guan Wenbao are still wearing ordinary clothes. This makes Huang Lei very envious. Brother, when are you going to pass me some inner force so that I can warm up? Huang Lei takes a drag of his cigarette. I'm freezing on the way here. Can't you turn up the heat? Li Fan rolls his eyes. I'm afraid that you're hot. Don't worry. Our bodies are good. Moreover, we have true qi to protect our bodies. Don't be too envious. This is the gap between us. Yan Kai patted Huang Lei's shoulder and mocked, however, your ability to not reject any woman is something we can't even be envious of. What? That's because you don't know how to appreciate a woman's beauty. Huang Lei exhales a smoke ring and excitedly says, that woman is a bit fatter. If she is fat, her body will have meat. Those breasts, those legs, especially when she shakes her body, the meat will also shake. TSK, don't even mention how exciting it is. Fuck off. Yan Kai was a little disgusted. He subconsciously imagined the scene Huang Lei had described. Heavens, this man is simply going to ascend to the heavens. What kind of stimulation did he receive to fall in love with this kind of woman? Sure enough, everyone has their own preferences. That's why I said you guys don't know how to taste. Huang Lei spoke with fervor and assurance. Although the number of people I've beaten isn't as many as yours, the number of girls I've slept with will definitely scare you to death. By the way, recently a good restaurant opened on the red light street. Later I will take my brother to have some fun. Especially you, old Guan. Look at you. We just talked about women, and your face is as red as a monkey's butt. I think you've fallen in love with her. Whoosh. No one knew when Guan Wenbao had raised his broadsword. With a point of his finger, the blade rested on Huang Lei's shoulder. I didn't hear you clearly just now. Say it again. Guan Wenbao's face was expressionless as he asked flatly. Hey, old Guan, look at your face. It's so red. How can you look so good? Humph. Guan Wenbao put away his broadsword. Huang Lei silently wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Damn, this is really scary. Old Guan's temper has been getting worse recently. He can't take a joke anymore. Well, don't mess around. How long have those people been following us? Li Fan did not turn his head. His thumb went over his shoulder and pointed to the back. All the way. Huang Lei smiled. Li Jun is a tight-lipped kid. I didn't get any useful information from him. This guy is very cunning. Everyone be careful. Li Fan reminded them, don't fall into this guy's trap. I want to see what Li Jun's darts are. Yan Kai sat in the back of the car. With a ponytail, he was trimming his nails. I'm afraid it's a bomb. We are armed escorts. Guan Wenbao glared at Yan Kai, implying that Yan Kai's position is not firm enough. Of course I know we are armed escorts. Yan Kai blew the dust off his nails and casually said, I'm afraid this trip is not exciting enough. But the people in that car don't know any kung fu. I'm not interested. It's not fun. It's going to be fun soon. Li Fan looked at two masked men jumping out of the car with 5 bullets in their hands. These darts are not ordinary. Li Fan laughed, it's starting. I'll be right back. Guan Wenbao said, opened the car door. Without even taking his broadsword, he directly went to the 2 men with shotguns. The 2 men froze for a moment. They didn't expect the person they are looking for to come out. But they are ruthless. They directly raised their 5 bullets and aimed at Guan Wenbao. But Guan Wenbao's figure took a step forward. With one step, he crossed a distance of 5 steps and instantly appeared in front of the 2 gunmen. The 2 gunmen wanted to shoot, but Guan Wenbao stretched out his hands and directly broke the barrels of the 2 guns. The 2 men were shocked. Before they could react, Guan Wenbao punched them one by one, knocking them down to the ground. You see, this is the kind of trash. Yan Kai shrugged his shoulders, I don't even have the mood to look at it. There must be something more exciting later. Li Fan did not relax his vigilance, this thing is not ordinary. Yan Kai, go inside and look for that Li Jun, okay? Yan Kai will definitely follow Li Fan's instructions. He tidied up his clothes and got off the car. He brushed past Guan Wenbao and walked into the service area. Ordinary people. Yes, very ordinary. Guan Wenbao nodded, the driver was scared away. Why isn't Yan Kai out yet? Li Fan glanced in the direction of the service station, and the uneasiness in his heart grew stronger. At this moment, a wall of the service area was broken. 2 figures rolled out from the inside. Yan Kai was fighting with a man. Both of them seemed to be equally matched. Someone is robbing me. Li Fan gave Guan Wenbao a look, go. Yes. Li Fan still had to stay in the car and look after the box inside. This was left behind by Li Jun before he got off the car. He didn't know if this fella cared about this thing. He usually wouldn't leave it, but when he got off the car, he left it here. Li Fan had a hunch that there was something fishy going on. Li Fan had to be careful around the escort agency. The people at the service area were stunned. They saw a red-faced man carrying a crescent moon blade rushing towards 2 men covered in lime powder. They did not know what was going on. What was going on? Die, you thief! Guan Wenbao raised his crescent moon blade and descended from the sky, slashing at the man covered in lime powder. The other party did not panic. He blew a breath at Guan Wenbao, lifted the lime powder on his body, and patted it on Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao waved his crescent moon blade and swept the lime powder away. Then, he slashed at the other party again. Chapter 790. Guan Wenbao's martial art is the Guan family's saber technique, and the power of the Guan family's saber technique is indomitable and unstoppable. Guan Wenbao's saber carries a blazing flame, as if Pangu splitting the heavens and earth, sweeping towards the opponent. Yan Kai was taken aback. He hurriedly used an iron bridge and fell to the ground, dodging Guan Wenbao's saber. Guan Wenbao's long saber has already slashed over, but the expert who was entangled with Yan Kai coldly snorted and pushed his hands forward at the same time. The palm wind swept towards Guan Wenbao with an earth-shattering momentum. Guan Wenbao's clothes were blown away by the wind, and his entire body was frozen in the air. He was unable to slash down with his saber. Yan Kai jumped up and activated the Tai Chi force on his body. He immediately pulled the man's palm wind and released Guan Wenbao from the air. Guan Wenbao chopped down with his saber. The opponent finally retreated more than 10 meters and escaped. Bam! Guan Wenbao's saber slashed on the ground. The ground seemed to be torn apart, and a long ravine appeared. Help! Help! Li Jun ran out in panic and jumped into the GL8. He was so scared that he curled up into a ball. Help! Someone wants to kill me. Don't panic, I'm here. Li Fan comforted his client and at the same time was concerned about the situation outside. The expert who suddenly appeared was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a ghost mask on his face. The other party did not speak, but the palm wind was powerful. Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai already knew where he came from. Ma family startling wind. Yan Kai regained his balance and looked at the other party with shock in his eyes. You covered your face, but you can't hide your martial arts. Startling wind palm, this is your Ma family's secret technique. Yan Kai said as he patted the dust off his body. The Ma family has always been upright in the martial arts world. Why did you sneak attack us? The man wearing the grimace mask did not speak, but silently operated the true qi in his body. His clothes fluttered as if there was a gust of wind. Looks like you don't want to say it. Yan Kai looked at the masked man opposite him. Alright, that's interesting. Come, let this Taoist grandpa play with you. As Yan Kai spoke, he swung his hands, gathered his true qi within his body, and launched the Tai Chi divine exercise. The surrounding air seemed to swirl, forming a whirlpool. Yan Kai's Tai Chi divine exercise had reached a certain level, and he could already distort the surrounding air. He seemed to have an aura around him, causing the people around him to feel the pull of his power. The clothes of the Ma family's expert were pulled. He stabilized his body to prevent himself from being affected. Yan Kai's Tai Chi skill has improved again. Li Fan sat in the car and watched Yan Kai's kung fu. He couldn't help but praise him. This pervert isn't only busy with gay affairs. He still has some serious business. The grimace man's horse stance was also very stable. He stood there as though he could ignore Yan Kai's aura. This person did not make a sound. He just pressed his left hand on his waist, and his right hand slapped across the air. The powerful palm wind came rushing over like a raging storm. Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao both took the hit of the palm wind. Yan Kai was even forced to take a step back. Looking at Guan Wenbao, he did not move his feet. His feet stepped on the ground, and he held the crescent moon blade in his hand. The true qi in his body surged out and filled his body, and then poured into his crescent moon blade. A bright crescent moon blade was wrapped in red flames. Guan Wenbao actually withstood the palm wind and walked step by step towards the grimace man opposite him. Guan Wenbao slowly raised his crescent moon blade. The blade was surrounded by a grand light, and it seemed to be blazing to the extreme. Mad Dragon goes to sea. As the saying goes, output depends on roaring. Guan Wenbao roared, and the crescent moon blade in his hand slashed out. A gigantic flaming blade also descended from the sky, chopping down towards the Grimace Man's head. This blade from Guan Wenbao, even if it was Li Fan, he also did not dare to face it head-on. The Grimace Man seemed to have realized this as well. He bounced off his feet, and his entire body retreated, instantly sliding 10 meters away. But the range of the flaming blade was too large, and the blade was also a full 10 meters long. This was like the furious slash of a heavenly god, directly descending from the sky, and it still chopped solidly onto the Grimace Man's body. The Grimace Man slapped out with both palms, and the palm wind formed a windstorm, crashing onto the descending flaming blade. The palm wind and the flaming blade clashed together, clashing against each other. The Grimace Man forcefully turned this battle into a clash of true qi. Guan Wenbao's true qi and the Grimace Man's true qi clashed against each other. The difference in their inner strength was not too big, and for a moment, they were actually in a deadlock. Yan Kai stretched out his hand, but was glared at by Guan Wenbao. Yan Kai had no choice, and could only shrug his shoulders and retreat to the side. As a martial artist, when they were fighting, they absolutely did not allow outsiders to disturb them. Guan Wenbao already viewed the Grimace Man as his opponent, and he wanted to use his own strength to defeat him. The two people's strength clashed against each other, and Guan Wenbao's strength actually faintly took the upper hand. If this carried on, Guan Wenbao would be able to win. But the Grimace Man seemed to have seen that he was going to lose. He suddenly pushed with both hands, and true qi exploded in the air. The impact caused Guan Wenbao to retreat a step, and Yan Kai also covered his face. The Grimace Man practically urged all of his true qi to explode out with this move, and then fled in a sorry state. By the time the smoke from the true qi explosion dissipated, the Grimace Man had already disappeared. Guan Wenbao carried the crescent moon blade and returned to the car. Yan Kai also followed up, and looked at Li Jun with a thoughtful gaze. No, not bad. You did pretty well. When Li Jun saw that they had repelled the Grimace Man, he could be considered to have temporarily heaved a sigh of relief. Looks like I didn't spend my money in vain. Li Jun saw that there were some abrasions on Guan Wenbao's body, and they were all caused by the wind from the startling wind palm. But your strength is still not enough, and you actually got injured. Guan Wenbao did not utter a word, and Xia Ho was currently using alcohol to clean Guan Wenbao's wounds. When the alcohol was used on the wounds, it should be very painful, but Guan Wenbao did not even frown. Their Guan family's old ancestor could scrape bones to treat injuries, and Guan Wenbao naturally would not be inferior. Moreover, this small injury was nothing to him. How far are we from the Tianjin port? Li Fan asked. Another 5 hours. Huang Lei looked at the navigation. I'll drive faster, and we will be there in 4.5 hours. There's no rush, drive slowly. Li Fan waved his hand. This is a highway, safety first. Got it, big brother. Don't worry, Huang Lei may not have any other abilities, but driving is definitely stable. Just as Huang Lei finished speaking, he suddenly stepped on the brakes, and nearly flung Li Jun out. Fuck your grandpa, do you even know how to drive? Li Jun was just about to scold, but Huang Lei had already started scolding a truck that had suddenly slowed down outside the window. As the truck drove slower and slower, it caused Huang Lei to be impatient. Chapter 791. Be careful, the second wave is coming. Li Fan looked at the truck in front of him. I didn't expect them to come so quickly. It seems like this thing is very important. My treasure. They all want my treasure. Li Jun hugged the box again, hugging it tightly, not wanting to let go. Even Li Fan was a little curious as to what was inside the box. The truck kept forcing Huang Lei to change lanes. In the end, Huang Lei's GL8 had no choice but to turn into the emergency lane on the side. The truck suddenly slammed on the brakes and directly stopped the car on the road, completely blocking the road. Huang Lei quickly turned the steering wheel and the car immediately turned around. It slid out horizontally and stuck to the truck in front of him. Li Jun was so scared that he almost peed his pants. At this time, Yan Kai had already jumped out of the open window and jumped out of the car. Then, he used both hands to support the commercial vehicle and flipped around to remove the force from the car. Then, he steadily placed the car on the ground. Bang, bang, bang. A few people jumped down from above. Each of them was wearing a ghost mask and holding a machete in their hands. They descended from the sky and landed on the roof of the car. These people seemed to have extraordinary skills. The long sabers in their hands pierced through the roof of the car. Looking at the few shining long sabers, Li Jun's entire body trembled as he curled up into a ball. Save me. Li Fan directly slapped the roof of the car with his palm. Bam! A strong burst of true energy erupted from the roof of the car, directly sending the scattered saber-wielders flying. The three saber-wielders somersaulted in the air, then dropped down again. Their long sabers were prepared to cut the car into 3 pieces. However, Yan Kai would not give them the chance. He stood there and with a tug of his hands, the 2 saber-wielders were directly pulled down from the air and fell to the ground. The other saber-wielder had already guessed Li Jun's position in the car from his voice and slashed down. However, Guan Wenbao had already stepped out of the car and raised the crescent blade in his hand. The blade pierced through the saber-wielding man's shoulder and came out from his back. With a wave of Guan Wenbao, the saber-wielding man's arm flew away. The scene was a little bloody, and Li Jun directly vomited. With a wave of his hand, Li Fan wrapped Li Jun's filth with his chi and threw it outside, slapping it on the mask of a knife-wielding man. It was clearly just some filth, but it shook the knife-wielding man's head, causing him to suffer internal injuries. His entire body flew out and fell far away. Since they are here to snatch the darts, why didn't they send some powerful people? Li Fan was slightly disappointed. But at this moment, a figure suddenly descended from the sky. This person carried 2 long sabers on his back. As he descended, he pulled out the 2 long sabers and waved them in the direction of the car. Yan Kai immediately stepped forward and revolved his Jinchi to form a Taiji shield, blocking the car. Bang! The car shook heavily, and Yan Kai's Taiji shield was broken, causing him to vomit a mouthful of blood. As for the truck behind, it was directly cut into 3 pieces. Water-breaking saber. Seeing this saber technique, Guan Wenbao frowned. Water-breaking saber and Ma Family's startling wind palm, although their martial arts were not bad, they could not be called peerless martial arts. Especially the people who practiced these martial arts. They were not considered experts, and no one had such tyrannical strength. Who were they, and why would they appear here? Guan Wenbao fell into deep thought. This kind of thinking was a little difficult for him. Li Fan also sat in the car, holding his chin as he looked at this brother who was carrying 2 sabers. Interesting. Li Fan muttered. He was beginning to be interested in these people. To have such strength, they were definitely not ordinary martial artists. They should be some powerful organization. Li Fan thought for a moment. In the pugilistic world, which organizations could have so many experts? Devil Cult, Imperial Secret Service, 2 great families, for major alliances. However, if these people appeared, they did not need to change their appearance, right? They even got a ghost mask, and it was even a bull's head. It was really pretending to be mysterious. As for the man carrying the two sabers, he also wore a ghost mask, like a ghost from the netherworld. Suddenly, he spun his body and slashed horizontally at Li Fan's car. The saber swept horizontally, and Yan Kai used Taiji's skill again to barely block it. Guan Wenbao no longer hesitated. He immediately jumped up, spun his body, and swung the Yenhua saber in his hand. Mad Dragon goes to sea. The saber was covered in flames, and it went straight for the expert from the water-breaking saber sect. The other party wore a bull's head mask, and he swung both sabers at the same time. The sharp saber energy collided with Guan Wenbao's Yenhua saber. Clang! The two sabers trembled at the same time. Guan Wenbao's saber pressed down, and the bull's head mask man knelt on the ground, crushing the ground. As expected of old Guan, Li Fan was very emotional. Guan Wenbao was the most diligent among them, and now his strength had reached a certain level. He and Yan Kai had already reached the peak of strength, and were slowly moving towards the Grandmaster level. Li Fan believed that it would not be long before their strength would be at the same level as his. Li Fan had confidence in them. Therefore, he stood there and did not make a move. He only watched Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao fight the bull's head mask man. Guan Wenbao's eyes seemed to be burning with flames. He roared loudly and pressed down with his long saber, using it to forcibly break the bull's two long sabers. The bull's head mask man lay on the ground. He pushed with both hands, and his whole body slid backward, dodging Guan Wenbao's last slash. Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai, one attacking and one defending, were quite good together. The opponent was clearly an expert, but he was defeated by the two of them. But at this moment, more than 10 chains were suddenly thrown down from the side of the mountain, and hooked onto the GL8 car. Li Fan frowned. Before he could do anything, the car was hooked up. The car was pulled up the 10-meter-high hill just like that. Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai looked up at the same time, preparing to chase. But a few saber-wielders jumped down from both sides and surrounded them, not allowing them to make any movements. At this time, Li Jun was scared out of his wits. He hugged the box in his arms and stared blankly out of the car window. Outside was a hill, and God knows how many saber-wielders were standing on it, surrounding them. Li Fan did a rough count, and there were about 100 people. In this pugilistic world, which sect or force could casually send so many people? In Li Fan's guess, these people surrounded the car so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Li Jun was already so scared that he was about to cry. He knelt on the ground and hugged Li Fan's thigh, begging for help. Quick! You are the escort. You took the money, so you have to protect me and my baby. I know, just leave this to me. Chapter 792. Although there were more than 100 people on the other side, to Li Fan, it was the same as nothing. Only an expert could pique Li Fan's interest. He left the car and walked outside, looking at the more than 100 machete men in front of him. Everyone, I'm sorry. Today, I'm escorting an escort. I hope you can give me some face and not make things difficult for our fiefin escort agency. The 100 armed men did not speak. All of them wore devil masks and carried long sabers as they slowly walked towards Li Fan. They were like a group of robots. The aura they exuded was very similar to Li Fan's. As the other party approached, Li Fan sighed. If that's the case, don't blame me for being rude. As he spoke, Li Fan suddenly raised his right hand and pushed at the armed men in front of him. 3,000 worlds. The vital energy in Li Fan's palm enveloped the bodies of more than 100 people, lifting them up in an instant. At the same time, Li Fan controlled his vital energy and tore off their arms in mid-air. It was a bloody scene. None of the armed men escaped the tragedy of having their arms torn off. By the time they were thrown down, they were already drenched in blood. Li Jun saw this scene through the car window. His body trembled and his mind went blank. This is too scary. The escort I hired is actually so fierce. Heavens, I've really struck it rich this time. Li Jun was overjoyed. As for Li Fan, he could not help but sigh as he looked at the armed men in front of him. The sin he had committed this time was too great. However, he was an escort agency. Escorting escorts was his job. He had already warned them. They were the ones who asked for it, so they could not blame him. Sir, your martial arts are indeed good. At this moment, someone finally spoke. A man slowly stood up from the crowd, his body stained with blood. However, his arms were unscathed. Clearly, he had not been hit by Li Fan's 3,000 worlds. Li Fan looked at this man with interest. He was wearing a black coat and a black Zhong Kuei mask, giving off a very strange aura. Who are you? Li Fan directly asked for the other party's name. You don't need to know who I am. The other party said slowly, you just need to understand that what you have is mine. The other party's overbearing manner made Li Fan laugh. Bro, if you want to take something from me, you have to ask my fish first. Li Fan, don't think that you're invincible. Others might be afraid of you, little tyrant, but I'm not. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and pointed at Li Fan. Today is the day you die. Ah, so are you going to kill me or rob me? Neither of them will delay you. Die. As he spoke, he charged at Li Fan. Li Fan raised his right hand, wanting to use his true chi to control the rampaging man. However, he didn't know what kind of martial arts the other party had. He actually broke through Li Fan's true chi and directly pounced in front of him. Li Fan was taken aback. This person's strength was not small. If he had to describe him, he was simply a terrifying brute. Li Fan immediately raised his left hand and struck out with his palm. The power was also extremely strong. However, the other party actually used his own body to block his palm. Bam! A cloud of smoke rose up, almost sending Li Fan flying. He infused his true chi into his legs and sank down. It was as if his feet were rooted to the ground, firmly rooted to the ground. Fortunately, his martial arts were strong, otherwise, he would really have suffered a loss. The other party's body was very sturdy. Unlike Bodhi, this person's strength was like a sponge, constantly dissolving Li Fan's strength. This was the first time Li Fan had seen this kind of ability. What surprised Li Fan the most was that this person actually absorbed his strength and then punched him. Li Fan hurriedly stretched out his hands and blocked the other party's punch. Bam! Li Fan felt that he was sent flying by his own strength. He flew backward for 3 to 4 meters and landed in front of the MPV. He looked at the masked man in front of him in surprise because what this guy had just displayed was Tai Chi. However, Li Fan had never met anyone with such a strong Tai Chi Kung Fu. Even Yan Kai's Tai Chi Kung Fu was not this good. It was simply natural. Therefore, Li Fan was very shocked. Who was this person who had such an exquisite Tai Chi Kung Fu? Are you a Wudong expert? Li Fan asked. Wudong? Who the hell is that? The other party sneered. I'll let you know what true terror is. As he said that, the other party stepped on Wudong's cloud ladder and jumped directly into the air. Then, he descended from the sky and launched an attack. Li Fan raised his palm and met the falling Zhong Kuei masked man's palm. The other party's palm absorbed his true chi, and then reversed from his hand to meet Li Fan's palm. Boom! The GL8 was almost thrown off the hill by the shockwave. Fortunately, Li Fan reached out with his other hand and grabbed the car door, holding the car back. At the same time, his internal organs were also injured and he spat out a mouthful of blood. It was not appropriate to hit him like this. Even if he used the Qilin palm, he would be the one at a disadvantage in the end. However, it was not that there was no way at all. Li Fan could still try to use true Qi to deal with him. Li Fan kicked the GL8 behind him. Li Jun fell down along with the MPV, causing him to scream in shock. However, after the car fell, Yan Kai caught it firmly and placed it on the emergency lane. Li Fan also had time to fight with the Zhongkue masked man. He took 2 steps back, adjusted his breathing, and stabilized his injuries. Then, he said, Come, let's fight for 300 rounds. Okay, I'll kill you and get the treasure. The Zhongkue masked man said as he leaped toward Li Fan again. The man's cloud ladder was very smooth. Even if Li Fan wanted to dodge, he could not. However, Li Fan did not dodge. Instead, a huge god of war popped out from behind him and slapped the Zhongkue masked man away. As if swatting a fly, the Zhongkue masked man was sent flying. He spun in the air and broke 3 or 4 trees in a row before rolling into the forest, kicking up a lot of dust. That's all. Li Fan stood there with his arms crossed. Behind him was the proud god of war. Your so-called strength is not even worth mentioning. The other party was also very surprised. He did not expect Li Fan to be able to send him flying with a single slap. If he did not get close to Li Fan, his Tai Chi skill would not be effective. This time, they had more or less miscalculated. They did not expect Li Jun to hire phenomenal escort agency. Chapter 793. Although the extraordinary escort agency was banned by Murongbo in the martial arts world, the strength of this escort agency was still obvious to all. Little Tyrant Li Fan, Shaolin Golden Monk Bodhi, Guanwen Bao, the eldest disciple of the Wu clan, Yan Kai. There was also Chen Junhua, the genius swordsman who came down from Mount Hua to train, and the former 12 saints of the Dragon Hall, and the current 11 cavalrymen of Yanjing. These people were absolute combat strength. If possible, no one wanted to mess with Primeval Security Agency. Whoever messed with them would be unlucky. The escort agency was a group of fiends who would want to be enemies with them. But the item must be taken. The man in the Zhongkue mask leaped up again and quickly approached Li Fan. With his skill, he had to stick close to Li Fan. Although he and Yan Kai both practiced Taiji, they were in different directions. Yan Kai focused on Yin Taiji, while he focused on Yang Taiji. Yin Taiji focused on the circulation of Qi, while Yang Taiji focused on the counter of Qi. As the saying went, Yin and Yang were 2 extremes that complemented each other. However, among the disciples of Wudang sect, there were very few who could cultivate both Yin and Yang Qi to the acme of perfection. Usually, they would choose one of them to cultivate. Yang Taiji had to be close to one's body to be effective. Zhongkue thought that he was invincible in close combat. As long as he could get close, he could defeat this so-called little tyrant. Zhongkue approached quickly, but Li Fan was expressionless. Behind him, the great god of war waved his hand and sent Zhongkue, who was approaching him, flying again. The man fell to the ground in a sorry state and looked up at Li Fan again, feeling a little angry. I'll kill you. I've seen through your attack method. Li Fan was very calm. I'll defeat you in 3 moves. Nonsense. Zhongkue was furious. Little Tyrant had already announced 3 moves, and according to the information, he had never made a mistake. It was impossible for him to make a mistake. Absolutely impossible. Zhongkue decided to change his approach. His gaze fell on the SUV below. Using Qigong, he leaped down and pounced on the MPV. He was like an eagle descending from the sky. Where do you think you're going? Standing on the hillside, Li Fan extended his hand and made a grabbing motion. The vital qi transformed into a giant arm and immediately grabbed Zhong Kuei's body, yanked him back, and threw him back onto the hillside. Zhong Kuei nearly broke down. Was he still unable to escape? Bang! Li Fan stomped on him, sending him crashing into the ground. Speak, which organization are you from? Li Fan questioned. Ha 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 ha. Unexpectedly, the man named Zhong Kuei burst into laughter. Li Fan, if I can't get it, don't even think of living. Li Fan suddenly felt that something was wrong. This person seemed to have some kind of terrifying aura, which made Li Fan's hair stand on end. He didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately kicked the man away. Zhong Kuei's body flew into the air. Suddenly, the heavenly demon disintegrated, and his vital energy exploded. The terrifying vital energy seemed to devour everything. Several trees on the surrounding hillside were affected and torn into pieces by the vital energy. Li Fan was wearing the golden armor, which allowed him to barely block the attack of the vital energy explosion. The man named Zhong Kuei exploded to the point that even his flesh was gone. How terrifying! Who is this guy? Is he crazy? Li Fan could kill without batting an eyelid, but he couldn't sacrifice everything, including his own life, for a certain belief. What kind of organization is this? Why is it like a cult? Li Fan recalled that the cult was like that too, where everyone was willing to die for Li Wei. Such people were really terrifying. Li Fan looked at the scorched land around him and couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Who are these people? Why are they so powerful? Yan Kai patted the dust off his body and looked at the messy road in front of him. When did such an organization appear in the underworld? I don't know, I've never heard of it. Guan Wenbao shook off the blood on his sword. He couldn't help but take out some gold sore medicine and distribute it to the killers on the ground. Are you crazy? Luo Xiaofeng worked hard to refine this gold sore medicine. Why are you giving it to them? They've already lost their arms. If we don't stop the bleeding, I'm afraid they'll die. Guan Wenbao answered. Retard, you retard. Idiot. Yan Kai was so angry that he almost laughed. They're all enemies. How can you show mercy to your enemies? Their martial arts have been crippled, so they can't be considered enemies. You retard. Yan Kai looked like he was about to die of anger. Okay, stop arguing, you two. Hurry up and get going. Li Fan looked at the sky. It's getting late. It won't be safe if we leave any later. Tianjin port is not the end. Actually, the end is, Li Jun mentioned a place, and Li Fan and the rest looked at each other. On the ancient road of camel and horse. You dare to play with me? Yan Kai grabbed Li Jun. His eyes flashed with ominous light, making Li Jun tremble in fear. Don't worry, don't worry. I'll pay more. Li Jun trembled with fear and didn't dare to look directly at Yan Kai's eyes. Is this a matter of paying more? Yan Kai was quite angry. You're cheating us. Is this a breach of contract? Guan Wenbao asked. Li Fan nodded. Then throw him here. The advance payment is not refundable. Guan Wenbao said as he opened the door and lifted Li Jun out of the car as if he was going to throw him down. Huang Lei, while driving, added oil to the fire. I knew this kid is not a good thing. Quickly throw him away. The money he gave is not enough to repair the car. Guys, don't. I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. Please don't throw me down. Li Jun's legs trembled as he desperately begged for mercy. Li Fan then waved his hand. Guan Wenbao pulled Li Jun back and threw him into the car. Tell me, how much more? Li Fan asked. 20,000. Li Jun stretched out 2 fingers. Li Fan sneered. Throw him out. Don't. 20,000 is too little. How much do you want? Li Jun asked while trembling with fear. At least 200,000. Li Fan's words almost made Li Jun wet his pants. You're asking for too much. I'm asking for too much. Li Fan squinted his eyes. Do you know what the Luoma Ancient Road looks like? Do you know it's not allowed to drive there? We can get there by car, but we have to walk for another day. Can you pay for the expenses here? I'm not good. But 200,000 is too much. I don't have that much money. Li Jun rolled his eyes. Let's give a discount, 100,000. What do you think? Throw him down. Li Fan dug his ears. If not for taking orders, he would not be short of 100,000 or 200,000. Chapter 794. Throw it down. Li Fan was impatient. Trying to bargain with him was simply courting death. Li Jun was about to collapse. 200,000 it is. Li Jun hurriedly agreed. 200,000 was just now. Now it's 300,000. Li Fan stretched out 3 fingers, and Li Jun directly peed. Are you kidding me? 5 seconds later, 400,000. 300,000. I agree. Alright, transfer. Li Fan took out his phone. Transfer it to Alipay. Big brother, Alipay has a limit. One card can at most 200,000 a month. Huang Lei hurriedly reminded Li Fan. It's fine. Let him think of a way to transfer 2 cards. Li Fan smiled. If we don't see the money, we'll throw him and his goods onto the road. Li Jun obediently took out his phone and transferred the money to Li Fan. From now on, you must stay close to me. Li Fan instructed Li Jun. Got it. Li Jun nodded. Now that it was related to his life, how could he dare to be negligent? Forget about his life, the most important thing was his treasures. This treasure belonged to him. No one could snatch it away. Li Jun's eyes almost turned red. As long as the treasure was here, 200,000 or 300,000 was a small amount. After experiencing 2 bumps in the road, the rest of the journey was easy. Li Fan and his group drove all the way to the vicinity of Tianjin and then chose to walk to Luoma Ancient Road. Luoma Ancient Road had a different meaning. It was a passage for martial artists, from Nantung to the north. Since ancient times, motor vehicles were not allowed to enter Luoma Ancient Road because it was a cultural protection area. Vehicles would damage the cultural and historical environment here. When they arrived at Luoma Ancient Road, they could either ride a horse or walk. Li Fan and his group first rented a carriage and prepared to follow this ancient road to the place where Li Jun wanted to go. Li Fan and his group were curious about what Li Jun was transporting, and why did he have to come to Luoma Ancient Road? At Luoma Ancient Road, the law no longer existed. Over here, the rules of the underworld were everything. If it weren't for the mysterious and dangerous people who wandered around, this place would have been a place with beautiful scenery and a rich cultural atmosphere. The entire Luoma Ancient Road was filled with ancient buildings, dazzling Li Jun's eyes. Following Li Fan and the others, Li Jun didn't have any fear. Instead, he became interested and took pictures with his mobile phone. Happy? Huang Lei asked. Yes. Happy my ass. Huang Lei cursed, "Damn it, I've got hemorrhoids recently, and now I have to drive a horse for you." Huang Lei sat on the stiff wooden board of the carriage. His buttocks hurt, and he couldn't help but curse. Li Jun didn't dare to say anything. He just silently put away his phone. Luoma Ancient Road is a good place. Li Fan sat in the carriage and looked at the ancient road around him. He carefully observed the people of Jianghu around him. On the ancient path of the camel and horse, there was no need to be surprised to see people carrying swords or sabers on their backs. Because here, everything was legal. There's still over 10 kilometers to our destination. Huang Lei complained, "How crippled will my buttocks be? I feel like I'm going to bleed soon." Yan Kai's eyes lit up. He glanced at Guan Wenbao beside him. "Old Guan, do you have hemorrhoids? Do you need me to apply some medicine for you?" Scram! Guan Wenbao cursed in anger. "Yan Kai, why don't you apply some medicine for me?" Huang Lei begged bitterly. Scram! This time, Yan Kai glared at Huang Lei. "Fuck, this is discrimination." Huang Lei complained and was nearly kicked off the carriage by Yan Kai. "Stop messing around. Pay attention to the surroundings." Li Fan sat in the carriage and looked around with a gloomy expression on his face. He had a bad premonition and hoped that everything would go smoothly. He didn't know how Chen Junhua and the others were doing at home. If anything happened, with Chen Junhua and Mr. Big Dipper around, there shouldn't be any problems. However, Li Fan was worried about Jiang Feng. He didn't know how that kid was progressing. "Forget it. I won't think about him. My escort agency still needs to operate properly." Li Fan slapped his cheeks and organized his thoughts. Many rangers were hurrying on their way, all of them in a hurry. No one knew where they were headed. Some rangers carried swords on their backs and wore short robes or long robes. Their steps were light and quick, leaving a trail of dust behind them. Some rode on war horses, looking extraordinary and mighty. They whipped their horses and left like a gust of wind. This was the ancient camel road, a pugilistic world that belonged to the pugilistic world. Just as Li Fan and the others were on their way, a convoy suddenly appeared in front of them. The convoy was very long. Just the carriages alone numbered over 30. In the middle, there was an 8-bearer sedan chair. Clearly, someone was getting married. In the pugilistic world, when some aristocratic families married, they would definitely use an 8-bearer sedan chair and walk through the ancient camel road. This was the rule of the pugilistic world. In the pugilistic world, other than the Murong and Sima families, there were other families with long histories. These people were holding flags with their surnames printed on them. The red flags had the word Yang written on them. Yang family. There were many families with the surname Yang in the pugilistic world. No one knew which one this was. This large group of people wore red clothes and flowers as they blew and beat along the way. It was very lively. "Make way for them." Li Fan gestured for Huang Lei to make way. Huang Lei pulled on the reins and made the horse turn around. But at this moment, a group of people suddenly surrounded this place. Li Fan and the others frowned. Li Jun even shrunk into a ball in the carriage. Heavens, heavens, they're here again. Li Jun trembled. Li Fan placed a hand on his shoulder. "Hide here. No one can hurt you." Okay, Li Jun nodded. He really didn't dare to step out of the carriage. The people surrounding them looked like servants. Each of them had a fierce look on their faces and were holding water and fire rods in their hands. "Get off." The man in the lead was wearing a butler's robe. He looked a little arrogant as he roared at the wedding procession. "Hurry up and get off for this master." A man in his 50s slowly dismounted from the horse. He looked at the butler in front of him and cupped his hands. "This friend, why are you blocking my family's way?" This man was very polite as he asked the other party politely. "Not only am I blocking you, I am also bringing your family away." "My family?" The man was a little puzzled. "It's your family's young lady. Our young master has taken a fancy to your family's young lady. Quickly hand her over and let us take her away. Otherwise, we will wash your young family with blood." When the man from the young family heard this, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat. There were no less than 100 men standing in front of them. Each of them looked fierce as if they didn't want to let them go. Now, what should they do? Chapter 795. A group of deranged men surrounded the young family's wedding procession. The young family's person in charge of the wedding procession is called Enchanting. He is the young Mrs. Uncle, but his strength is relatively low. His popularity in the pugilistic world is not bad, and he is quite capable. That's why he is accompanying the wedding procession. According to the agreement, the groom will be waiting for them at Flying Flower Town in front of Luoma Ancient Road. But if that's the case, they will not be able to get close to Flying Flower Town. "This friend, I'm sorry, such an auspicious day cannot be delayed. Please make way." Young Naiching makes his last effort, but the other party only chuckles. "Old man, looks like you don't understand. Let me tell you, my family's young master is Fong Long." Young Master Fong. Hearing this name, young Naiching's face is covered with sweat. The Fong family is a famous family in the pugilistic world, especially on Luoma Ancient Road. Many businesses on Luoma Ancient Road are owned by the Fong family. A long time ago, Luoma Ancient Road even collected tolls, but the Fong family's patriarch waved his hand and said that they don't need tolls anymore. Because of this, many people respect the Fong family and think that they are righteous. At that time, the Fong family's patriarch was very benevolent. But in this generation, it is indeed not worth mentioning. Li Jun heaves a sigh of relief. "So they are not looking for us. That's great, then let's go." Guan Wenbao frowns and looks at Li Jun. Yan Kai shrugs his shoulders. "This time, I think Li Jun is right. Them kidnapping the bride is their matter, it has nothing to do with us. Seeing injustice on the road, I should help." Guan Wenbao says without hesitation. "Help my ass." Yan Kai rolls his eyes. "You know what's going on, yet you help them. I think you are indeed like a pig." Guan Wenbao silently picks up his crescent blade. "Old Guan, this time he is right." Li Fan holds Guan Wenbao's hand. "We are escorts, our priority is to protect the goods." Guan Wenbao could ignore the words of others. However, Guan Wenbao would definitely listen to Li Fan's words. He could only put down the crescent blade in his hand. He did not make a sound, but his expression was slightly uncomfortable. Li Fan understood him. Guan Wenbao's personality had always been upright. When he encountered such a thing, he would definitely not let it go. However, escorting was escorting, and that was the rule of escorting. Escorting was the most important thing, and nothing else mattered. Li Jun also heaved a sigh of relief. This was good, as long as they could leave this place. To him, treasures were the most important. Huang Lei shook the reins and prepared to leave. But at this time, that Fong family's butler stopped their carriage. "Where are you going?" "Just passing by." Huang Lei said, "My friends, I'm sorry. Please excuse me." "Who's your friend?" "Get off the carriage." The butler roared, "Otherwise, I'll chop you to death." "Hey, are you retarded? Your grudges with others, what does it have to do with me?" Huang Lei was about to curse but was stopped by Li Fan. Then he said to the butler who was about to lose his temper, "Sorry, my friend's words were impulsive. However, your grudges in the pugilistic world have nothing to do with us. Please excuse us. Li Fan maintained his politeness. Less nonsense. Everyone here today, no one can escape. If you don't hand over this family's young miss, you will all die. The butler was extremely arrogant. Huang Lei was about to explode from anger, and Guan Wenbao just happened to carry his crescent blade and jump down from the carriage. Benefactor, is this enough? Li Fan nodded. Guan Wenbao was immediately overjoyed. Thank you, benefactor. Yo, kid, you want to stand out? The butler laughed and twirled his blade. On this Luo Ma ancient road, no one dares to challenge our Fong family. Grandpa's blade does not kill nameless ghosts. Come. Kid, report your name. Guan family, Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao picked up his crescent blade and reported his name. Che, I was wondering who it was. Isn't it Guan? Just as he finished speaking, the butler suddenly froze. A thug at the side nudged him lightly and said in a low voice, Guan, butler, seems to be that Guan Wenbao. Ah. Nonsense. I don't need you to say it, I know. The butler kicked that thug to the side, scram. Although Guan Wenbao was straightforward, he was not an idiot. He knew that he could not give this butler a chance to continue speaking. He held his crescent blade and stepped forward, preparing to kill this group of thieves. But the butler was faster and blurted out, Don't do it. It was my misunderstanding. Guan Wenbao gritted his teeth and forcibly held back his large blade. This crescent blade hovered above the butler's head. It carried a trace of heat, but the butler's back was covered in cold sweat. Everyone, this is Fictional Escort Agency. Ah. The butler cupped his hands and asked. Yes. Li Fan sat on the carriage and looked at the Fong family's butler. Fictional Escort Agency is here to escort. Friends of the pugilistic world, please make way. Then why don't you hang an escort flag? Ah. The butler thought in his heart, you really can't blame me. Ah. If this group of people did not hang an escort flag, how would he know that it was Fictional Escort Agency? Ah. Hidden escort. Li Fan replied faintly. The butler did not dare to say anything else. He obediently waved his hand and asked his men to make way. Quick, let them pass. They are just passing by, why are you stopping them? As the butler spoke, he slapped another thug. That thug felt very wronged and thought in his heart, what does this have to do with me? But he only thought in his heart and did not dare to say it out loud. Alright, let's go. Li Fan let Huang Lei drive the carriage away. Guan Wenbao could only sigh, put away his long blade, and prepared to leave. But at this moment the 8-bearer sedan chair landed on the ground. A woman wearing a phoenix coronet and a red robe stumbled out and quickly ran towards Guan Wenbao. She ran in front of Guan Wenbao. Her whole body was like a red flame, but she looked so fragile as if she would be extinguished with a touch. She passed through the crowd, ran past the dumbfounded second uncle, and knelt down in front of Guan Wenbao. Mr. Guan, young hero Guan, please save this little girl. Li Fan's heart sank, and he thought, this is bad. Oh my god, Yan Kai also trembled, this is bad. Please get up first. Guan Wenbao hurriedly bent down and helped the woman up. The bride ran so fast that her red veil fell off, revealing a delicate and pretty face. She looked a little fragile. She staggered forward on her pair of small feet and almost fell into Guan Wenbao's arms. But she blushed and gently pushed Guan Wenbao away, and quickly apologized. I'm sorry, this little girl's body is weak, and I've offended you. It's fine, just stand up. Guan Wenbao could not tell if he was blushing or not, because he was blushing to begin with. Chapter 796. I've always heard that young hero Guan is benevolent and righteous. Young hero Guan, please save this little girl. The bride's eyes were red and misty with tears. There was a kind of irresistible beauty in her eyes. Hey, who asked you to say that? Just as the butler was about to berate him, Yan Kai stepped forward and stopped him. Although Yan Kai didn't like Guan Wenbao to meddle in other people's business, he unconditionally stood on Guan Wenbao's side now that things had reached this stage. Young hero Guan, this little girl was going to marry Sai Lang of East Mountain, but the Fong family is too overbearing. Their young master, Fong Long, took a fancy to this little girl and didn't let this little girl marry. As she spoke, the bride started to cry. This weeping beauty crushed Guan Wenbao's heart. Don't cry. I'm here today. Let's see who dares to touch you. Guan Wenbao was also angry. He shook his clothes, picked up his crescent blade, and held it horizontally in front of him. He looked angrily at the Fong family's thugs. The butler saw that today wouldn't be a good day. He immediately put away his politeness and frowned like two scimitars. Guan Wenbao, I think you're the one who doesn't want face. I gave you some face, but you're stepping on the floor for me. Do you really think my Fong family is a soft persimmon? Good, then don't blame my Fong family for being merciless. The butler turned hostile and waved his hand. More than 100 thugs behind him raised their eye-length rods and roared at the same time. Ha! More than 100 people wearing the same clothes, holding the same weapons, and roaring the same roar. For a moment, they were so imposing that even Guan Wenbao frowned slightly. Young family, thief and escort agency, none of you can leave today. Didn't you want to meddle in other people's business? I'll let you know the consequences of meddling. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. It seemed like he had to meddle in this matter until the end. Hey, how can you do this? Shouldn't you focus on protecting the goods? Li Jun pulled Li Fan and shouted. Wait a moment. Li Fan tried to comfort Li Jun, but Li Jun kept shouting. Benefactor. Let me come here alone. Take the bodyguards and leave first. Guan Wenbao's shout reached Li Fan's ears. However, Li Fan didn't leave. He just stood there, facing over 100 thugs without a trace of fear on his face. It was as if these 100 or so thugs were nothing to him. Since we've already come to this point, we can't do anything about it. Li Fan sat on the carriage and played with his extraordinary sword as he looked at the Fong clan's thugs. Yan Kai, old Guan, hurry up. Don't delay the delivery. Yes. Guan Wenbao was a little happy. He was in high spirits, and his fighting spirit seemed to be surging. Qi flowed through Guan Wenbao's palm and into the crescent blade, causing the crescent blade to emit a dazzling red radiance. Guan Wenbao's control over his qi was getting better and better. Now, he could freely let his qi enter the weapon, greatly strengthening the weapon's combat ability. However, for people like Li Fan, Imperial Consort Zhou, or Murong Ying, who could directly use qi as a weapon, Guan Wenbao couldn't do it. Guan Wenbao, Li Fan, your extraordinary escort agency is too much. The Fong clan's butler roared. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. Brother, did I hear wrongly? You said we are overbearing. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. This was the first time he met such a person. His face was too thick. Is that so? Then what do you want to do? Li Fan asked. You should know some etiquette. Leave obediently. The Fong clan's butler immediately said, As for me, I am a reasonable person. I can reluctantly let you leave. The bride became nervous again and tugged on Guan Wenbao's sleeves, causing Guan Wenbao to feel a little embarrassed. No need. My extraordinary escort agency doesn't like to force others to do things that are difficult for them. Li Fan sat in the carriage and said slowly, "Since you don't want to give way, we will open a path ourselves." He waved his hand. "Old Guan, open a path." "Okay." The butler felt hatred in his heart. This group of people really wanted to start a fight. Looking at the situation, the other party only had 3 people who could fight. The remaining 2 were just ordinary people. Fong Clan's thugs were all specially trained high-level thugs. It shouldn't be hard for them to deal with 3 experts who had reached the great heights. The butler weighed the pros and cons. His eyes rolled a few times before saying, "Okay. Since someone wants to provoke our Fong Clan on the Luo Ma ancient path, then Fong Clan will accept it." Once the Fong Clan's people said it, the meaning seemed to have changed. Right and wrong were completely reversed. Less nonsense. Open a path. Guan Wenbao had already waved his crescent blade. With a strong flame, he swept away an army of 1,000. Guan Wenbao was very strong on the horse. Guan Wenbao, who was riding the horse, was also a fierce general who could hold the pass against 10,000 people. 10 thugs stepped forward together and swung their eye-length rods towards Guan Wenbao. It was as though they were subduing a fierce tiger. Their rods were powerful and methodical. It could be seen that it was not without reason that the Fong clan dominated the Luo Ma ancient path. However, Guan Wenbao was Guan Wenbao. He raised his crescent blade horizontally and blocked in front of him, forcefully blocking the 10 eye-length rods. His strength was originally stronger than the others. Now that he pushed with force, the 10 people were sent flying and fell to the ground. The people behind stretched out their eye-length rods and blocked the 10 people. "Oh." Li Fan's eyes lit up, "A formation, not bad. At least you know your stuff." The butler said fiercely, "This is our Fong clan's long snake rod formation. With just the 3 of you, you are not our match." "Not necessarily, right?" Li Fan only had a smile on his face without any fear. The butler was displeased. He must let this man know fear. Everyone had to obey Fong clan's prestige. Furthermore, young master said that if he couldn't catch this little girl, he didn't need to go back. There was a new servant girl in the Fong residence. She was very pretty, and the butler was anxious to go back and fuck her. The more he thought about that servant girl's long legs, the more anxious he felt. Quick, 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 kill all of these people. Then snatch the bride and go back. Young master said that when we return, we will be heavily rewarded. This sentence caused these thugs' emotions to rise again. Who wouldn't be happy to get money? Driven by benefits, these thugs acted as though they had taken stimulants and charged towards Guan Wenbao and the others. The bride was slightly afraid and her body trembled slightly. Guan Wenbao immediately protected her behind him. "Hide behind me." And, the bride obediently stood behind Guan Wenbao, but she couldn't help but poke her head out to look at the situation outside. Chapter 797. Guan Wenbao used his body to protect the bride and at the same time, he held his Yenhua blade as he glared at the incoming thugs. He brandished his long blade and continuously sent the thugs in front of him flying. And these thugs were endless. Whenever one of his companions was sent flying, he would use his long rod to catch them, reducing the damage they suffered. And when Guan Wenbao wanted to use a killing move, a few thugs would hand out their long rods and block Guan Wenbao's long blade, preventing him from using his blade. In this way, Guan Wenbao was a little annoyed. Guan Wenbao felt that the other party was simply using a hoodlum's fighting style. It was very annoying. And Yan Kai stood beside the escort carriage, protecting it from the thugs' influence. Li Fan sat on the carriage, quietly watching the show. No matter how foul the atmosphere outside was, he would not leave the escort carriage even half a step. To an escort, everything else was a small matter, only the escort was the master. Guan Wenbao could be a little willful, but Li Fan could not, he was the head escort. A head escort's responsibility was to protect his own escorts. Li Fan only watched them fight and did not leave the carriage. Two thugs charged towards the escort carriage and were slapped to the ground by Yan Kai. The steward was slightly angry. Although the long snake rod formation was more powerful, it was still unable to do anything to these people. If this went on, where would their Fong family's face be? A group of people go and flip the escort carriage for me. The steward shouted loudly and immediately 20 thugs carrying their eye-length rods rushed towards the escort carriage. They are here. Li Jun also screamed at the top of his lungs. Li Fan pressed him down, don't be impatient. Yan Kai stood there, every thug that came in front of him was sent flying by his taiji push hand. 10 thugs simultaneously took out their eye-length rods and blocked Yan Kai. But Yan Kai only smiled. He was originally a handsome man, this smile was enough to topple any woman. Unfortunately, other than the bride, there was only an old matchmaker looking at him. The matchmaker instantly turned into a fangirl as she stared at Yan Kai with sparkling eyes. His Tai Chi force burst out, and the 10 thugs were directly sent flying, falling heavily to the ground. With Yan Kai around, these people wouldn't be able to get close. Who dares to approach this place? Yan Kai proudly said, if you don't want to die, you can try again. With Yan Kai's Tai Chi skill, no one could get close to him. The rest of the thugs were in a dilemma. Their long snake array seemed to be ineffective against Yan Kai. Yan Kai's kung fu was the opposite of Guan Wenbao's. Guan Wenbao's kung fu was of extreme yang. His strength was superb, and his kung fu was unrestrained. It was as if one man could hold the pass against 10,000 enemies. Yan Kai, on the other hand, was extremely yin, using softness to overcome hardness. Therefore, if the two of them were to really fight, Guan Wenbao would always be at a disadvantage because of Yan Kai. And this long snake array was a yin formation, specially used to restrain masculine experts like Guan Wenbao. Only Li Fan, whose martial arts was also based on the power of yang, was too powerful. His extreme yang and extreme yang techniques were able to restrain the soft yin techniques, thus breaking the long snake staff array. Don't hesitate, young Master Fong will reward anyone who can overturn this escort carriage with 1 million. The Fong family was indeed rich, overflowing with oil. It was easy to take out a bit of money to reward those who fought for him. As the saying goes, when there is a great reward, there will be brave men. Under the stimulation of the housekeeper's 1 million, those thugs who had retreated became excited again. One by one, they raised their eyebrows rods, and at least half of them charged towards Yan Kai. Individually, the strength of these 50 thugs was not that great. But when they grouped together, their strength was different. These people entangled Yan Kai, and with 10 people in a group, they attacked Yan Kai continuously. This Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao were entangled with over 100 thugs. If not for the long snake array, with their strength, they would have already beaten these people to the ground. Li Fan hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still decided to help them. He stretched out his hand and threw out the extraordinary sword. The black extraordinary sword flew to the top of Li Fan's head and spun in the air, as if it was alive. Seeing this sword, the housekeeper was stunned for a moment. People of the Fong family, my apologies. Li Fan stretched out 2 fingers and pointed downwards. Over 100 sword shadows immediately descended from the sky, one for each person, and immediately shot towards those thugs. All the thugs were unable to react in time, and all of them had their right legs pierced by the sword shadows, and were nailed to the ground. The housekeeper was stunned. What kind of martial arts was this? He did not know that after Li Fan lost his arm once, his martial arts had already entered the realm of ancient martial arts. All of this was due to the influence of Murong Bo and imperial concubine Zhou. Their strength was deeply engraved into Li Fan's soul. Even Li Fan's strongest 7 brilliance fist had already become a thing of the past. His 2 strongest martial arts, one was Qilan Palm, and the other was Heavenly Sword Technique, which was the sword technique that he was currently using with his right hand. As the saying goes, one move, eat all over the world. With just these 2 moves, Li Fan was able to sweep the entire Jianghu. Seeing over 100 people instantly killed, and each of them hugging their legs and squatting on the ground screaming, the housekeeper swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Are you a human or a ghost? After thinking for a long time, he finally asked this question. He was really frightened. This man, what kind of martial arts did he use just now? Is this really martial arts? So many swords suddenly rained down from the sky. Could it be one of the 3 realms of martial arts, turning nothingness into reality? Li Fan kept extraordinary sword and looked at the housekeeper in front of him. Sir, you have no one else to use. Make way. The housekeeper thought for a long time until his calves and stomach cramped. This Li Fan is too scary. It's better to retreat for now. Just you wait. Our Fong family will remember this debt. The housekeeper threw down ruthless words and let over 100 people support each other as they walked away in a very sorry state. Only then did Yang Naiqing let out a sigh of relief. He stepped forward and cupped his hands towards Li Fan and the rest. Thank you, benefactors. I really have no way to repay you. No way to repay you. Huang Lei curled his lips. What do you have? No way to repay? Just give us some money. You bunch of poor people, what's the use of just saying that you have no way to repay me? Huang Lei's words made Yang Naiqing's face turn red. Brother, you're right. I'll give my thanks to everyone right now. No need. Li Fan originally did not want to care about this matter. He only wanted to help Guan Wenbao, so Li Fan did not want this money. Now that things have come to this, it can be considered fate. Li Fan said, let us part here. We will meet again in the future if fate allows it. Just as he was instructing Huang Lei to drive the carriage away, the bride suddenly kneeled in front of the carriage and blocked them again. Benefactors, please wait. Chapter 798. Benefactors, please wait. The bride suddenly stopped them. Huang Lei quickly pulled on the reins. The horse raised its hooves and neighed. Guan Wenbao immediately picked up the bride and carried her to the side to avoid the horse's hooves. Are you all right? Guan Wenbao asked with concern. I'm fine. The bride shook her head. Although she was still panicking, she patted her chest and said firmly, benefactors, please wait. What else do you want? Li Fan asked. Benefactor, as the saying goes, help people to the end. The bride begged, there's still some distance to go, I'm afraid we can't reach Flying Flower Town. You little girl, I helped you and you still don't know your limits. Huang Lei immediately scolded, hurry up and do what you're supposed to do. Don't block the way, or I'll flatten your face. In Huang Lei's heart, beautiful women were not like the bride, so he could scold her mercilessly. Don't talk so much. Guan Wenbao frowned, she just wants to be with her Mr. Right. Motherfucker, old Guan, I thought you were a tough man, I didn't expect you to be so short-tempered. Have you forgotten who you are when you see a girl? Huang Lei scolded angrily. Guan Wenbao didn't say anything. He knew he was in the wrong, so he just silently protected the bride. Forget it. Li Fan stopped Huang Lei who was about to scold. How about this, old Guan, you protect the Yang family and head to Flying Flower Town. After we deliver the goods, we'll go back to you. How can I do that? Li Jun was unhappy. I'm paying for 3 people. The money for the 3 of you doesn't include the chief escort's personal payment. Li Fan's words silenced this guy with a few words. My money alone is worth 2 of theirs. Why don't you make up the difference? Forget it. Since you're here, it doesn't matter if they come or not. Li Jun's words made Yan Kai angry. The true qi in his body surged, causing his clothes to shake. Do you want to die? Yan Kai's every word was filled with terrifying energy, causing Li Jun to tremble. Forget it, time is of the essence. Li Fan comforted Yan Kai. Get in the car, we should go. Sure. Yan Kai swallowed his anger and sat in the carriage, but he coldly looked at Li Jun, scaring Li Jun into sitting back, trying his best to keep a distance from Yan Kai. Is this okay? Li Fan asked the bride. Thank you. The bride was extremely excited and looked gratefully at Li Fan. Benefactor, this little girl is called Yang Shueiyue. If you have any needs in the future, feel free to come find this little girl in Flying Flower Town. Got it. See you later. Li Fan let Huang Lei drive and left them. Yang Naiqing and the rest cupped their hands towards Li Fan to show their respect. The Luo Ma ancient road was long and wide, and Huang Lei drove very steadily. The group of people approached their destination, a small restaurant on the Luo Ma ancient road. We're here, we're here. When Li Jun arrived at the restaurant, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. Great, we arrived safely. My luck is really good. Li Jun walked towards the restaurant. Li Fan sat in the carriage and said, We've arrived at our destination. Our escort agency's mission is also over. Boss Li, let's have a pleasant cooperation. Li Jun coldly snorted, Humph, there will be no more cooperation in the future. Extraordinary Escort Agency, Black Inn. Bad review. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. He was also not willing to deliver his goods to this kind of person. Why don't we rob his things? Yan Kai could not help but mutter. Ha, forget it. It's not worthwhile to lower ourselves to the same level as this kind of person. Li Fan waved his hand and appeased Yan Kai. We should also go back. Guan Wenbao is still waiting for us. Wang Er, where are you? Li Jun shouted at the entrance of the restaurant. At this time, a sturdy chef walked out. His mouth was especially big, as if he was going to eat someone. Why the hell are you so late? The fatty called Wang Er had an anxious look on his face. Seeing Li Jun, he hurriedly came out to greet him. Wang Er, the things are in my hands. We can. Before Li Jun could finish his words, the fatty picked up the kitchen knife and swiped it across Li Jun's neck. Poor Li Jun. He worked so hard, but in the end, it was all in vain. Still holding his precious box, he directly kneeled on the ground. I'm sorry, old friend. Someone offered me a higher price, so I can't give this to you. Wang Er's face hung a sinister smile as he took the box. In this life, this brother has let you down. After you die, I will burn some paper money for you. I wish you a happy life in the underworld. Li Fan and Yan Kai did not know this scene. They had already driven the carriage far away. Wang Er looked at their backs and muttered, if it were not for these two coming out to cause trouble, I would not have been able to earn this money. No matter what, I still have to thank you, he. He took the things, took off his chef's apron, and rode a fast horse. He galloped all the way to an inn at the side. The inn seemed to have been booked. It was very quiet inside. There were no people. There were only 2 men in white uniforms standing there. Both of them had ghost masks on their faces. When they saw Wang Er coming in, they did not stop him. Wang Er tied the horse to the side and walked in with his head down. He went all the way into the inn and came to the third floor of the inn. Wang Er followed their agreement and walked into the room at the very end. A man wearing the mask of the King Yenluo of Hell sat there. He sat cross-legged in front of the tea table and was slowly brewing a cup of hot tea. "Boss, I've got it." Wang Er walked in and placed the box on the tea table. Then, he took the tea that the Yama mask man had just brewed and drank it in one gulp. "I'm so thirsty after rushing all the way here." "The tea has just been brewed, isn't it hot?" The Yama mask man spoke in a middle-aged man's voice, very calm. "Not afraid, I, Wang Er, like hot things the most, ha ha ha." Wang Er laughed non-stop, then rubbed his hands. "Boss, I've got the thing. Shouldn't we settle the balance?" "Of course, this is the rule of the pugilistic world." The Yama mask man nodded. Wang Er immediately smiled. But at this moment, his temple was suddenly pierced. A man in a suit put away the silencer pistol in his hand. Blood splashed on the tea tray. The Yama mask man sighed softly. What a pity for this pot of good tea. The man in the suit half knelt down and opened the box. Inside was a small fridge. The fridge was emitting cold air, and there was an arm inside. The man in the suit took out some kind of instrument to test it. He nodded and then placed 10 bottles of medicine on the table. "Go back and help me send my regards to Mr. Sam." The Yama mask man said, "I won't send you off." Chapter 799. Li Fan and the others followed the ancient road and ran all the way to the Flying Flower Town. The ancient road was very quiet. When they came, it was noon, and now there was a bright red sunset. The sun seemed to have lost its energy and hung on the horizon. Even if one looked at it with the naked eye, they would not feel any pain. "I wonder how the girl Guan Wenbao is doing." In the car, Guang Lei was bored and could not help but mutter. Picking up girls." Yan Kai could not help but laugh out loud. "Stop messing around with that blockhead of his. Not to mention, Yang Shueiyue is still a bride, and she wants to marry her Silang." "That's not necessarily true. Our old Guan is also a flirtatious person, but we are flirtatious on the outside, while he is flirtatious on the inside." Guang Lei chuckled and defined Guan Wenbao just like that. Guan Wenbao had also suffered an undeserved calamity, and for no reason, he had been evaluated as a flirtatious person. "How nice, she's even a wife." Guang Lei laughed unscrupulously. "Awesome." The setting sun was like blood. The few of them chatted and laughed along the way, all using Guan Wenbao as a topic, ridiculing Guan Wenbao to the point of suffocation. When the sun set down the mountain, Li Fan and the others finally arrived at the Flying Flower Town. There were many legends about the Flying Flower Town, and some even said that there was a terrifying zombie king in the Flying Flower Town. However, these were all after-dinner topics. Li Fan and the others would not believe it. It was fine to just listen and laugh. Li Fan also did not know how Guan Wenbao and the others were doing. He reckoned that they had already sent the girl to her Silang. During this period of time, the groom was probably drunk and had entered the bridal chamber with the bride. After picking up Guan Wenbao, they would return to a city. However, the entire Flying Flower Town was in a mess, and no one knew what was going on. From afar, they could see a manor with torches everywhere, as if there were a lot of people walking around. Li Fan and the others felt a little strange. Was there a need to light a torch during a wedding? Wasn't this the FFF team? Are we having a bonfire party? Guang Lei mumbled, "Old Guan is quite a playboy. Why isn't he out? Did he drink too much?" Yan Kai could not help but mutter. Li Fan could not help but speculate. Guan Wenbao was not the kind of person who coveted his own pleasure. According to his character, he should be waiting for him at the entrance of the town. There might be a trap. Be careful. Li Fan ordered, but Huang Lei laughed out loud. Big brother, you're too careful. Huang Lei couldn't help laughing. Today is their big day, and old Guan is escorting them. How could anything happen to them? My guess is that old Guan was drowning his sorrows in alcohol when he saw a girl getting married. He's probably lying on the table snoring now. Speaking of which, when is Guan Wenbao getting married? Yan Kai asked unhurriedly. No one could tell what kind of emotional state he was in. Who knows? Aren't you happy that he's getting married? Huang Lei looked at Yan Kai with a question. Women are too troublesome. Yan Kai tidied his ponytail. It's still the happiest to be with a man. You're gay. Wrong. I know the true joy of life. There hasn't been a woman who could walk into my heart. Because some women are too retarded. That's because you don't understand the joy of women. Huang Lei could not help but lick his lips. I recently met a woman. Her figure, stop. Yan Kai quickly stopped Huang Lei to prevent him from saying any more disgusting words. This fellow only liked non-humans. All right, stop arguing, you two. We're here. Li Fan and the rest followed Yang Shueyue's instructions and arrived at Qin village in Flying Flower Town. The Qin clan manor was brightly lit at this moment, and it indeed looked very lively. These people follow the ancient rules. Could they be setting up a stage and performing a drama inside? Huang Lei guessed. That's possible. It depends on the Qin village's rules. Yan Kai sat in the carriage. He stuck his head out and looked outside. Huang Lei had already driven the carriage and entered Qin village through the main gate. Qin village wasn't as lively as they imagined. Many people were standing on both sides. After Li Fan and the rest entered, the main gate of Qin village was closed. Many servants were standing around with torches in their hands. Their gazes landed on them. Li Fan frowned slightly. What was the meaning of this? Two bonfires suddenly lit up in the surroundings, illuminating a person. Guan Wenbao was hung on a rack. His upper body was naked and covered with scars. Guan Wenbao had suffered a lot and was on the verge of death. Old Guan. Yan Kai was infuriated. He was prepared to save Guan Wenbao, but the surrounding servants suddenly took out their machetes and placed it on Guan Wenbao's neck. Li Fan pulled Yan Kai to prevent anything from happening to Guan Wenbao. He. It was unknown when a young man stood beside Guan Wenbao. Yang Shueyue was leaning in his arms. She was tied up tightly and her mouth was gagged. Her eyes were red and she was crying like a pear blossom in the rain. She shook her head vigorously at Li Fan and the rest. You must be Fang Long, young Master Fang. Li Fan was burning with anger, but he still maintained a calm expression. We finally meet. It's an honor. Little tyrant, right? I heard that you are very awesome. Young Master Fang looked like a gigolo. His face was filled with disdain. He looked at Li Fan as though he was looking at a pile of trash. Aren't you very awesome? You even dared to hit my housekeeper. Come on, show me how awesome you are again. As he spoke, he held a short knife in his hand and pressed it on Guan Wenbao's neck. Come on, show me how arrogant you are again. Young Master Fang looked at Li Fan with a smile. Guan Wenbao opened his eyes and said slowly. Benefactor, don't worry about me. Do it. Guan Wenbao's words really made young Master Fang nervous. However, Li Fan slowly stood up and said to Guan Wenbao, "We are brothers in this world. I, Li Fan, will never sacrifice my brother to live." "Good, you're loyal." Young Master Fong clapped his hands. "That's right. As expected of the little tyrant. Since you care about your brother so much, we'll have fun next." He waved his hand and the housekeeper came over with a chair. Young Master Fong sat on it and looked at Li Fan with a smile. "I say, little tyrant, you're quite awesome. On this ancient Luo road, you don't even put my Fong clan in your eyes. I heard that you and Murong were at odds, but I didn't believe it. Today, I realized that you're really an idiot. On the ancient Luo road, you even dare to provoke my Fong clan. So what if I provoke you?" Li Fan's temper flared up. He stood on the carriage with his hands behind his back and looked at Fong Long on the opposite platform. "If you provoke me, you must pay the price." Chapter 800. Fong Long's hand touched Yang Shuiyue's chest as he looked at Li Fan with a smile. "Do you see, your brother is in my hands, and I will also take this girl. Li Fan, even if you have a bit of reputation in the martial arts world, but in my Luo Ma ancient road, even if you are a tiger, you have to lie down, even if you are a dragon, you have to coil up. What's more, you are not a dragon or a tiger, but a small character who has just gained a bit of fame." As Fong Long spoke, he stretched out his pinky finger and drew a stroke. But Guan Wenbao suddenly opened his mouth and bit his finger, forcibly breaking this young Master Fong's pinky finger. Young Master Fong screamed like a pig being slaughtered in pain. Guan Wenbao, on the other hand, opened his bloody mouth and laughed loudly. "Kill them. Immediately kill them." Fong Long was no longer in the mood to play, he only wanted to kill. His own finger. Nothing could compare to one of his precious fingers. He wanted these bastards to be buried together with his finger. More than 10 servants pulled out their knives and slashed at Guan Wenbao. However, Li Fan stretched out his right hand, and with a pull of his true energy, the pedao in the hands of the servant, who was almost tens of meters away, immediately flew up, and was forcibly pulled in front of him by Li Fan's true energy. Dang 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 dang, the pedao was chopped into the ground, forming a row. This was Li Fan's strength, it was not something that these servants could deal with. Li Fan stretched out his right hand and lifted it up. Some of the servants, who were about to attack Guan Wenbao, seemed to be unable to control their own arms. They watched helplessly as the pedaos in their right hand were placed on their throats. Without waiting for them to struggle, Li Fan waved his finger and the pedaos shook, and these people's throats were slit. Looking at the servants lying in a pool of blood, Fong Long's eyes widened. What kind of martial arts was this that could directly control the other party? This was simply incredible. What kind of martial arts was this? Could it be the legendary Genie Guard's minor phaseless divine art? Fong Long was dumbfounded and didn't know what to do. "Old Guan, your Taoist grandpa is here." Yan Kai descended from the sky and landed beside Guan Wenbao. Several servants were preparing to attack Yan Kai from both sides, but Yan Kai activated his Tai Chi skill. With a shake of his arms, the servants on both sides started fighting each other, causing their heads to bleed. He kicked the pedao that was stuck in the ground. The pedao immediately flew up and cut the rope that was binding Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao landed on the ground. Yan Kai kicked the pedao over and it landed in his hand. "Thanks." Guan Wenbao carried his pedao and walked towards Fong Long. "Quick, protect this young master." Fong Long was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He hurriedly shouted at the servant beside him. The servants didn't dare to delay and hurriedly rushed forward with their pedaos. However, Guan Wenbao suddenly shouted. His voice was like a wave, crashing out. The surrounding servants were affected by the sound wave and all stopped moving. Their ears were ringing and their bodies were numb. Guan Wenbao took the opportunity to step forward and cut off the heads of the 3 servants one by one. He was bathed in blood as if he was a god of war that crawled out from hell. Since when were there cowards in the Guan family? If he didn't drink a cup of wine and was drugged by Fong Long, Guan Wenbao wouldn't have been captured and Yang Shuiyue's Shiro wouldn't have been beaten to death. Guan Wenbao hated himself. He hated himself for underestimating the Jianghu. The Fong family had actually controlled Flying Flower Town and were just waiting for them to fall into their trap. He personally sent Yang Shuiyue into the tiger's mouth. Guan Wenbao hated himself even more. Ah! Guan Wenbao's eyes turned red. He was filled with rage. He carried his padao and killed his way into the group of servants. He killed them quickly and with each slash, heads flew. Damn, so fierce, Yan Kai couldn't help but be shocked. Although Guan Wenbao's martial arts were fierce, he had never been so ruthless. In the past, Guan Wenbao was brave and righteous. But today, Guan Wenbao was ferocious and fierce. They watched as he forcefully split a servant into 2 halves with a padao that already had a hole in it. There were 2 servants next to him. He waved his saber horizontally, as if he was sweeping away 1,000 soldiers, and cut the 2 servants in half at the waist. Their intestines flew out and scattered on the ground. Fong Long was so scared that he peed. He felt that he had offended a devil. Everyone said that Fifan Escort Agency was a group of devils and shouldn't be provoked. Fong Long didn't believe it before, but he finally saw it for himself today. Especially that Li Fan. He stunned everyone with one move and now he stood there with his hands behind his back with an indifferent face. Li Fan wasn't indifferent. He just wasn't interested in these people. They were too weak and couldn't be compared to him. His realm was already above them. His enemy was Murong Bo and Imperial concubine Zhou, a grandmaster. Li Fan looked around. Although there were many people in the Fong family, none of them were experts. But at this moment, a servant rushed over and reported the good news to Fong Long. Young master, young master. Lord Tu is back. Tu de. He's finally back. Hearing the servant's report, Fong Long suddenly became excited. With Tu de here, you bastards will all die. Tu de. Li Fan recalled this name. He seemed to have heard it somewhere. Yan Kai had returned to Li Fan's side. Seeing the doubt on his face, he explained, Tu de used to be a disciple of Shaolin. His Tan Tui Kung Fu is good. Later, he fell in love with a female benefactor who often came to offer incense and raped her. Later, with his powerful Tan Tui Kung Fu, he kicked her out of Shaolin and escaped. So it's this kind of pervert. He has the same rotten taste as Fong Long. Li Fan nodded. Seems like this guy defected to the Fong family and became Fong Long's fighter. But why did you come back? Fuck, old Guan's eyes were red from killing. I couldn't snatch his head. Yan Kai said angrily, this guy is too ferocious as if he's on drugs. Li Fan looked over. Guan Wenbao's eyes were red and his body was covered in blood. The servants were crying and the corpses were everywhere. Who dares to bully my young master? At this moment, a loud shout came from the sky. Following that, a figure appeared under the moonlight. He descended from the sky and kicked at Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao raised his padao and held it horizontally in front of him to block. Dang, dang. That person forcefully turned his body and kicked out twice in a row. He kicked the padao, breaking the blade of the blade in half. The other kick landed on Guan Wenbao's shoulder and sent Guan Wenbao flying. He slid for 3 to 4 meters in the air and slowly landed on the ground. He stabbed the broken pedal into the ground and barely stabilized his body. A bald man stood there, wearing a yellow sweatshirt. His small eyes were pitifully small, like the size of a grain of rice, but he was staring at Guan Wenbao. "Who is it? Report your name." "I, Tudi, do not kill nameless people." Chapter 801. Ever since Tuda left Shaolin, he did not delay his training. He knew that in the pugilistic world, especially as a hired thug for the Fong family, if he did not have any ability, he would be kicked out of the door by the Fong family sooner or later. Thus, Tuda had been practicing his Tan Tue Kung Fu and improved it according to his own ideas. He changed his Tan Tue Kung Fu to bullet leg. Because his Tan Tue Kung Fu was getting faster and faster, even faster than the wind. He wanted to be faster, even faster than a bullet. In the end, after hard training, he finally got what he wanted. Tuda sent Guan Wenbao flying with a kick, causing young Master Fong to clap his hands and laugh. "Good, good, good. That's great. Tuda, you're good. Quickly kick that guy's dog head." With a backer, Fong Long laughed loudly, a change from his previous frightened look. "Don't worry, young master, leave it to me." Tuda wanted to show off in front of his young master. "Kill a few of them. For 1, I'll give you 1,000,000. For 3, I'll give you 5,000,000. Fong Long's gaze suddenly landed on Huang Lei, then he curled his lips. "Kill that one, I'll give you 50,000. Fuck your grandma." Huang Lei immediately cursed, "Why am I only worth 50,000? Calm down, it's not like this is a good thing." Yan Kai persuaded Huang Lei. Huang Lei calmed down. "Fine, what you said is reasonable. That's right. Furthermore, you're not worth 50,000. Fuck your grandma." Huang Lei and Yan Kai started bickering, while Guan Wenbao and Tuda also fought to the death. "Tuda, fuck them. Then I'll enjoy the Yang family's girl." Fong Long licked his lips as his eyes flashed with lascivious light. Tuda glanced at the crying Yang Shueiyue and had lustful thoughts, but he suppressed it. The woman that young master fancied, he could not touch. As long as he had money, he could get any woman he wanted. Tuda glanced at Guan Wenbao in front of him and asked again. "State your name." "I, Tuda, do not kill nameless people." Guan. 1. Treasure. Guan Wenbao was too lazy to say anything else. He picked up another pedao and jumped towards Tuda, slashing at his head. But Tuda sneered, turned around, and kicked out. With a clang, the pedao was kicked into two. The tip of the blade flew out and nailed into a nearby tree. It penetrated deeply and disappeared. "All right." Fong Long clapped his hands and laughed heartily. Tuda sneered, "Guan Wenbao, the Guan family is just a so-so." Guan Wenbao's eyes flashed with anger, but Li Fan stretched out his hand, picked up a crescent moon blade from the carriage, and threw it to Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao's Yenhua blade was custom-made, so he always prepared extra supplies. Fong Long had already taken the crescent blade from before. After all, using a pedao was not convenient. Looking at the crescent moon blade, Tuda frowned. With a leap, he leaped into the air and kicked at the crescent blade, preparing to send it flying with a kick. But the crescent moon blade suddenly exploded with powerful chi, directly hitting Tuda's leg. Tuda was shocked. His calves trembled and he was sent flying. He flipped in the air and landed on the ground. Tuda was so shocked that he was speechless. This crescent moon blade actually contained such a powerful inner strength. Who was the one who threw the blade? The inner strength was actually so powerful. If the other party was an old man or a middle-aged martial artist, he would believe it. But the other party was a youth. Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao. Could that person be the little tyrant, Li Fan? Tuda began to calculate in his heart. This little tyrant was a famous name in the pugilistic world. Seeing him today, it was indeed a well-deserved reputation. He had to first defeat this Guan Wenbao and then find an opportunity to take the young master away. Tuda was confident that he could defeat Guan Wenbao, but he did not have the confidence to face Li Fan. The key was that Li Fan was not only skilled in martial arts, but he was also smart. He had actually predicted that he would kick the crescent moon blade away. If he had calculated wrongly, the true qi would have exploded in Guan Wenbao's hand. At that time, Guan Wenbao might not even be able to keep his hand. At this moment, Guan Wenbao had already caught the crescent moon blade. He did not give Tuda a chance to think and had already fiercely slashed down with the blade. Scarlet-red flames wrapped around the large blade, bringing with it an air current as it descended from above Tuda's head. A gigantic flaming blade suddenly appeared in the air and slashed down. Tuda frowned. He did not retreat but advanced instead, suddenly appearing in front of Guan Wenbao. At the same time, he kicked at an even faster speed towards Guan Wenbao's face. This kick was really like a bullet as it kicked towards Guan Wenbao's forehead. However, Guan Wenbao did not have the slightest intention of stopping. He was like a ferocious tiger that had just been released from its cage. He did not care about anything and ruthlessly slashed down with the blade. Tuda was terrified. Even if he kicked Guan Wenbao to death, half of his body would still be chopped off. He stomped on the ground and retreated more than 10 meters away, forcefully dodging the blade. Bang! The ground was blasted open. There were still blazing flames burning in the ravine, but they were slowly extinguished. Where Tuda was just standing, a towering ancient tree was directly chopped in half. The flames burned the tree trunk. Tuda wiped off his cold sweat as he looked at the ancient tree that was chopped in half. He was a little speechless. Motherfucker, what kind of strength was this? This blade could actually split flames. How terrifying was Guan Wenbao's blade technique? If this blade had landed on his body, he would probably have become a charred corpse. He had indeed underestimated Guan Wenbao just now. This man's strength was not to be underestimated. Meanwhile, Guan Wenbao raised his crimson crescent moon blade again. The flames seemed to have spread to his body, burning fiercely. This Guan Wenbao was like a death knight from hell. He was holding the crescent moon blade, and Tuda did not dare to go near him. Come, old Guan. Ride it for a while. Li Fan untied the reins and chased the horse over. Although it was not his Lisa, it would be different when Guan Wenbao was riding it. Guan Wenbao flipped onto the horse and raised its front hooves. This obedient horse that was pulling the carriage burst out with a bit of wildness. At the same time, Guan Wenbao waved his treasured blade. Flames swept out and slashed towards Tuda. Tuda was shocked. This time, the power of the blade was much stronger. He quickly retreated and leaped more than 10 meters away. He stabilized his body and re-evaluated Li Fan. Tuda, what are you doing? Go and kill him. Fong Long was still shouting, but Tuda wasn't in the mood. After Guan Wenbao got on the horse, he was completely different from before. His combat strength had almost doubled. He was a war god on a horse. Young master, let's go, Tuda said. Damn you. Why did I raise you? Why are you so afraid? Where's your bullet leg? Kick him. Fong Long could not help but curse. Chapter 802. Fong Long couldn't help but curse. He had spent a lot of money to raise Tuda, and now he was scared. Aren't you known as the bullet leg? Fong Long scolded, use your bullet leg to kick him. Kick his head. Kick him. Fong Long roared, and Tuda was enraged. This useless young master didn't have any ability, and only knew how to cause trouble. Tuda had no choice but to bite the bullet. With a spring of his feet, he instantly appeared beside Guan Wenbao and kicked Guan Wenbao's chest. However, Guan Wenbao raised his crescent blade horizontally and lifted it, almost splitting Tuda's face into two. Luckily, Tuda dodged quickly, or else he would have been split in half. No, he really wasn't a match for him. Tuda was extremely nervous. If this went on, he would die here sooner or later. He had been famous all his life, how could he die so easily? Tuda's mind spun quickly, and he began to think about how to leave this place. But Guan Wenbao didn't seem to have any intention of letting him go. Old Guan carried his crescent blade, rode on his warhorse, and directly leaped up, charging towards Tuda. A flaming blade slashed horizontally, as though it was going to split Tuda in half. Tuda's heart twitched. He used Iron Bridge and directly lay on the ground, dodging Guan Wenbao's flaming blade. But the young master behind him wasn't so lucky. Guan Wenbao's flaming blade had a strong blade aura, and instantly split the arrogant young Master Fong in half. Young Master Fong didn't have time to enjoy the rest of his life before he died in this flying flower town. Tuda was dumbfounded. It's over, this time it's all over. Tuda's heart trembled. Young Master Fong was dead, and he couldn't go back to the Fong family. The road to the sky was wide open, and each went their own way. He had better run far away, and escape for his life. Tuda didn't dare to hesitate. He used his qing gong and ran away. In the blink of an eye, this guy had already disappeared without a trace. Li Fan was stunned for a moment. Damn, his qing gong was not bad. His Tan Tui Kung Fu was not even half as good as qing gong. The remaining servants of the Fong family didn't dare to stay here any longer. They carried their young master's corpse and fled in all directions in a sorry state. Phew, after Guan Wenbao killed the Fong family's young master, he seemed to have calmed down a little. He stood there and slowly exhaled a few mouthfuls of turbid air, finally relaxing a little. When Yen Kai and Huang Lei entered the manor, they discovered that there were corpses everywhere. Fong Long was ruthless. He killed everyone here. This included Yang Naiqing and Shiro, who was dressed in a red groom's attire. It was like massacring an entire city, wiping out an entire family. This Fong Long deserves to die. When Yen Kai saw this horrible scene, he couldn't help but be furious. Damn it! How could he do such an inhumane thing? Shiro, Yang Shueiyue threw herself on her late husband's body and cried non-stop. It was supposed to be a nice wedding, but it turned into a massacre. Her lover and family were dead, and a happy event turned into a funeral. Perhaps there was nothing more sorrowful than this. Yang Shueiyue cried non-stop. Guan Wenbao stood awkwardly at the side, not knowing how to comfort her. He felt that he was a bit useless. He actually couldn't save Yang Shueiyue's family. Miss Yang, what plans do you have for the future? Li Fan felt that it wasn't a good idea to let her cry like this, so he stepped forward and asked tentatively. I also don't know. Yang Shueiyue wiped her tears and was somewhat at a loss. I really don't know what to do now. Shiro is dead, second uncle is also dead. My family definitely won't let me go back. They're afraid of the Fong family. We're just a small family, since that's the case, why don't you follow us first? Li Fan said, we live in a city. The weather is a bit cold, not as cold as here. However, there are people from Fictional escort agency there. They can take care of you so that you won't suffer any losses from the Fong family. What do you think? Is Is this okay? And we're all on the same boat now. Li Fan smiled. Young Master Fong was also killed by us. They will definitely come to settle this debt. It's the same to look for you and us. Why don't we just stay together and let them come? Won't we cause trouble for our benefactors? When Li Fan heard Yang Shueiyue's question, he immediately turned his head to look at Guan Wenbao. Old Guan, can you take care of Miss Yang in the future? Ah, yes, I can. Guan Wenbao was stunned for a moment, but he immediately nodded. See, isn't it fine now? Li Fan said, let old Guan take care of you. Everything is settled. You can rest assured in the escort agency. If you need anything, just tell old Guan. He's a very enthusiastic person and will definitely help you. Alright, Yang Shueiyue didn't know what to do now. She had already lost her backbone in life and could only rely on Li Fan and the others to live. Can you wait for me to bury them first? Yang Shueiyue wiped her tears. That's what we should do. Let us help you. There were over 100 people in this manor and they were all beaten to death. If Yang Shueiyue were to bury them alone, how long would it take? In the entire Flying Flower town, no one came to help them. They were probably afraid of offending Fong clan. Li Fan and the other three helped Yang Shueiyue to dig many graves and bury these people. Over 100 people were all lying in the pits. Guan Wenbao and Huang Lei were holding a shovel and were slowly shoveling dirt from their bodies. Yan Kai would not do this kind of digging and burying people. He was a person who loved cleanliness and would definitely not do this kind of dirty and tiring work. Li Fan stood on the roof of the manor and looked into the distance as he stood guard for them. Fong Long was dead and Fong clan would not let them off. However, the Luo Ma ancient road was still very long. They did not know when Fong clan would make their move. Li Fan stood there and was on guard against the enemies that could come at any time. When the sun rose again, everyone was finally buried in the ground. Yang Shueiyue erected a wooden tablet for her second uncle and Silang as a tombstone. With a tombstone inscription, they would not have to become nameless wandering ghosts. Yang Shueiyue wiped her tears. Benefactors, let's go. Go and change your clothes. It doesn't seem convenient to move around in this outfit. Guan Wenbao hesitated for a long time and finally gave a suggestion to Yang Shueiyue. Yang Shueiyue glanced at her long red skirt. She lowered her body, stretched out her hands and tore off a part of her skirt, revealing a pair of long legs. This is good. It was hard to tell if Guan Wenbao's face was red or not, but he did not speak. Li Fan somewhat admired this woman. She was decisive in killing and did not hesitate at all. Since that's the case, let's go home. Chapter 803. The sun rose, and the sunlight shone on the carriage. Li Fan sat steadily on the shaft, enjoying the warmth of the sun. It's another day. I hope everything will be fine when I go back. Li Fan's current situation was particularly unstable, and his original life had long been broken. The ordinary daily life on campus, with the appearance of Murong, had left him far behind. And with the war with Murong Bo, he had completely broken off with Murong's family. Although Li Family Island was still their rear, China was his root, especially City A. After living here for so many years, he had long developed feelings. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Li Fan didn't want to leave here and retreat to the small island on Nansha Island. When he was not here, he hoped that Chen Junhua and Mr. Big Dipper would help him take care of the rear. The scenery is good. It would be better if there were no those annoying people. Yan Kai said. On the roofs on both sides of the road, many men in black were secretly jumping over the walls and following this ordinary carriage. Li Fan had long noticed these people, but he didn't say anything. If they like to follow, let them follow. They don't dare to come down. Just following them is tantamount to sending us off. Li Fan didn't put these people in his eyes at all. He stretched, it's so early, and I'm already a little hungry. Let's find a place to eat something. Eat what? Yan Kai was also a little hungry. They had stayed up all night, and their bodies were a little tired. Lei, what do you want to eat? Li Fan asked Huang Lei. At this time, Huang Lei was sitting at the front of the carriage, holding the horse. His head was heavy like a woodpecker, and he was obviously very sleepy. It seemed that they really had to find a place to eat and sleep. They were still some distance away from where the GL8 was parked. Moreover, everyone had stayed up all night, and Huang Lei's state was not suitable for driving a long distance. Miss Yang, what do you want to eat? Guan Wenbao decided to ask Miss Yang. He turned around and saw Yang Shueiyue curled up in the carriage like a kitten, fast asleep. Guan Wenbao felt a little embarrassed. The sleeping Miss Yang looked quite pretty. There's a noodle shop in front. Let's go there. Li Fan looked ahead and saw a noodle restaurant not far away. It was called Delicious Noodle Restaurant. The shop owner was really shameless to come up with such a shameless name. What kind of name is that? Yan Kai muttered, how shameless. Huang Lei was half asleep. When he heard Yan Kai's complaint, he couldn't help but reply. This is nothing. I've seen a noodle house called Good Sister-in-Law's Restaurant. Everyone was speechless. Guan Wenbao even glared at Huang Lei. Don't talk nonsense. Miss Yang is still here. She's asleep. What are you worried about? Yan Kai couldn't help but glare at Guan Wenbao. This guy had completely fallen for him. I am just afraid of ruining our agency's reputation. Our agency's reputation has long been notorious. I'm not afraid of you ruining it. Yan Kai rolled his eyes. How can you give up on yourself like this? You're just thinking too much. Yan Kai said leisurely. Why are you like this? I didn't do anything to you. Guan Wenbao felt that Yan Kai was picking on him. I didn't do anything. I'm the same as usual. You're just being sensitive. Yan Kai would never admit it, but Li Fan had a feeling that he was a little jealous. It was no wonder. The two of them were always together. Old Guan would probably have another girl by his side in the future. Yan Kai was a man who hated women. He couldn't possibly feel comfortable about it. But Li Fan knew that he couldn't let Guan Wenbao be single forever. As the head of an escort agency, he had to consider their livelihood in addition to his job as an escort. Moreover, the Guan family had only one heir. He couldn't let Guan Wenbao die. Li Fan felt that he had thought things through. Escorting was a dangerous job. Although Guan Wenbao was strong, he might not be safe forever. But he had to leave a descendant for the Guan family. Only then would he be able to answer to his ancestors. If he knew that Li Fan had thought this far for him, Guan Wenbao didn't know whether he would cry or laugh. The carriage stopped beside the small noodle house. The men in black who had been secretly following them stopped as well. They hid in the surroundings and continued to observe. The owner was a young man in his 30s. His looks were average, but he was good at cooking. He served Li Fan and the others warmly. Guan Wenbao wanted to ask Yang Shueiyue to come down for a meal. But seeing that she was sleeping soundly, he was too embarrassed to ask. He only ordered 2 steamed pancakes and half a caddy of cooked beef from the noodle house. He carefully put them away, as if waiting for Yang Shueiyue to eat. Boss, is your noodles delicious? Huang Lei sat down and forced himself to wake up a little. He asked as he broke a pair of chopsticks. "Sir, look at our signboard." The boss pointed at the signboard above his head. "If it's not delicious, we wouldn't dare to use this name. Don't you think so? Don't talk about whether you dare or not. You're quite daring with your prices." Li Fan looked at the price list. "A bowl of beef noodles costs 100. Do we have Kobe beef here?" "It's just ordinary yellow beef," the boss hurriedly explained. "First, our noodles are delicious. Second, the rent on Luoma Ancient Road is so expensive. If the rent is cheaper, we want it cheaper too. However, foreigners often come to eat on Luoma Ancient Road. They are all rich and never haggle. No matter what country you go to, you all like to earn money from stupid foreigners." Li Fan smiled bitterly. When a Chinese goes to a foreign country, they are treated as fat sheep to be slaughtered. "Sirs, are we still eating?" "Yes, I'm indeed hungry." Li Fan rubbed his belly. "But if your noodles are not delicious, I won't pay." "All right, just wait and see," the boss said as he began to pull the noodles. The soup was already boiling. The boss quickly finished cooking the noodles and served the 40,000 hot noodles. Li Fan took a bite. The noodles were chewy and the soup was fragrant and delicious. It was indeed not bad. Li Fan praised. He then raised his head and said to the roof, "Sirs, you must be hungry after following me for the whole night. Why don't you come down and eat a bowl of noodles? I, Li, am not a stingy person. This is my treat." The boss looked up with some doubt. "Is there anyone up there?" He didn't see anyone. Just as the boss was puzzled, a few men in black suddenly descended from the sky. Each of them had a hook in their hands. The sharp hooks were aimed at Li Fan. Li Fan stood there, unmoved. Yan Kai hugged his bowl and stood up. He held out the chopsticks in his right hand. He used his chopsticks to knock away the hooks that were flying in front of him. It was as if Yan Kai had drawn a circle. No one could break through this circle. Chapter 804. Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao happened to be a master of defense and a master of offense. With the two of them together, they could form a powerful lineup. This was also why Li Fan liked to have the two of them work as bodyguards. Because when they were together, their safety and combat power would increase greatly. But there was one troublesome point. The two of them liked to fight when they were together. Yan Kai was a chatterbox, while Guan Wenbao was a taciturn person. Fortunately, he had already found a suitable girl for Guan Wenbao, but it was time for Yan Kai to find one too. He could not possibly be single forever. If this went on, he would really become a gay man. Although Li Fan strongly suspected that Yan Kai was a gay man. But Yan Kai refused to admit it, so the matter was left unsettled. "You are all ordinary people." Yan Kai looked at the attacking men in black and twitched his mouth. "With your skills, don't embarrass yourselves." Yan Kai had always thought highly of himself. His voice was full of disdain, as if he did not think much of these men in black. However, Li Fan noticed that these black-clothed men all had a bronze waist tag hanging on their waist. They seemed to be assassins from Yamadian. These were all bronze-level assassins. Why would Yamadian send these small fries to deal with him? They should at least send someone with a black name tag. Wasn't this an insult? "Old Guan, send them away," Li Fan said to Yan Kai as he ate. All right. When it came to fighting, Guan Wenbao was better than Yan Kai. He put down his bowl, picked up his crescent moon blade, turned around and slashed horizontally. The blade's aura spread out instantly, and the men in black were cut into two by Guan Wenbao's aura blade. Their bodies fell to the ground. The boss sat there, munching on a spring onion as he watched the commotion. Looking at the ground full of intestines and blood, he did not feel like vomiting at all. This was the ancient path of camel and horse. Incidents like this were a common occurrence. There was nothing to be surprised about. It was just a few deaths. It was nothing new. Guan Wenbao easily chopped down several black-clothed men, all of them dying under his saber. Soon, there was no one around. Guan Wenbao used the clothes of a black-clothed man to wipe his treasured saber clean. Only then did he turn around and return. The broth was still warm. I was fortunate enough to accomplish my mission. Okay, sit down and eat. Li Fan ordered a bowl of noodles for Guan Wenbao. Such a strong man must have a big appetite. Yes, benefactor. Guan Wenbao sat down and continued to eat. At this time, a one-eyed man in a black cardigan walked over and sat on the opposite table. Boss, give me a bowl of noodles. All right. The boss immediately received them, but the one-eyed man slammed the table. This is a scam. A bowl of noodles is so expensive. It's just a small business. There's actually not much profit. The boss hurriedly explained, would you like to eat the noodles or work first? The one-eyed man put down his chopsticks and looked at the boss coldly. On this ancient road of camel and horse, it's easy to lose your life if you talk too much. Look at my mouth. I'll bring the noodles for you. The boss hurriedly went to serve the noodles, but Li Fan smiled and interrupted, Boss, put the money for his bowl of noodles on my account. After all, he's a customer who came to look for me. How can I let a customer pay for his own meal? Li Fan wiped his mouth, dear friend, may I know your name? Heng Sha. The other party looked at Li Fan gloomily. At the same time, he flicked his finger. A chopstick immediately turned into an arrow and shot towards Li Fan. Li Fan stretched out two chopsticks and caught Heng Sha's chopstick. Friend, this isn't good. I'm treating you to noodles, but you're treating me to chopsticks. Li Fan asked. Li Fan, your time is up. As Heng Sha spoke, he lifted the hem of his robe and showed his white signboard. You killed the young master of the Fong family. I'm here to take your life. He deserved to die. Li Fan didn't care at all. However, this isn't important. I only have one wish. I hope that the white assassins from Yan Luo Dian can be more powerful. Li Fan, I know that you've defeated a few black assassins from Yan Luo Dian. Heng Sha's lips curled into a mysterious smile. However, I'm different from them. You'll find that there's a world of difference between white and black. As he spoke, he took a sip of tea and poured himself another cup. All of a sudden, he threw the teacup in his hand towards Li Fan's face. Li Fan was very calm. He sat there and instructed Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao not to interfere. At the same time, Li Fan blew on the teacup that was thrown at him. Taking the elixir field, a breath of vital energy erupted from his mouth and blew on the teacup. Bam! The teacup exploded in mid-air, and Heng Sha's body followed suit. His palm was aimed at Li Fan's forehead. Heng Sha's palm was black. He was obviously practicing some kind of poisonous palm. However, Li Fan didn't care. He wrapped his vital energy around his left hand and met Heng Sha's palm. Bam! Heng Sha's body shook and he took a step back. Li Fan's chair also slid back a distance. He landed on the ground and steadied himself. As expected of a white assassin. His strength was indeed extraordinary. His inner force was almost on par with his own. Li Fan secretly praised him and then hooked his finger at Heng Sha. Heng Sha's eyes darted around, as if he was thinking of a plan to kill Li Fan. He was an assassin. A good assassin shouldn't fight his opponent head-on. Instead, he should choose an ingenious method to kill his opponent. His poisonous palm didn't seem to have any effect on Li Fan. He was still standing there in high spirits. Heng Sha's footsteps were very ghostly. It was unknown what method he used, but he suddenly teleported behind Li Fan. At the same time, Heng Sha took out a thin sword and directly stabbed at the back of Li Fan's neck. However, it was as if Li Fan had eyes on the back of his head. He immediately tilted his head and dodged Heng Sha's thin sword. At the same time, Li Fan stretched out 2 fingers and pinched the thin sword that passed over his shoulder. Attacking from behind. You don't look like a real man, do you? I, Heng Sha, am not a real man to begin with. I'll just kill you. After saying that, Heng Sha spat out a silver needle from his mouth. It turned into a faint silver light and shot at the back of Li Fan's head that had just tilted to the side. Spitting out silver needles was Heng Sha's ultimate move. The silver needle was dipped in 3 steps throat-sealing poison. He had taken the antidote beforehand, which was why he could temporarily keep the silver needle in his mouth. Now was the best time to use it. In the blink of an eye, the silver needle had already reached the back of Li Fan's head. It would pierce into his head at any moment. But at this moment, Li Fan stretched out his right hand and made a palm-pressing gesture. The silver needle that was approaching Li Fan suddenly stopped, as if it was stuck by an invisible barrier. It was in a dilemma and trembled incessantly. Chapter 805. That silver needle was suddenly repelled by Li Fan's vital energy and flew straight towards Heng Sha's eyes. Heng Sha hurriedly dodged, his heart filled with extreme shock. How terrifying! This man had clearly fused his vital energy with his body. This vital energy was like a coat draped around his body, forming an aura that made it difficult for his sneak attack to achieve its goal. If his attack failed, he would flee 1,000 miles away. Heng Sha didn't dare to be careless. He threw a handful of flying needles at Li Fan. Li Fan reached out and used the vital energy in his right hand to seal the flying needles. Heng Sha took this opportunity to turn and run. Using his qinggong, he disappeared behind the house in a few steps. Guan Wenbao raised his crescent blade and was about to give chase. Forget it. Li Fan reached out and stopped Guan Wenbao. Don't chase a cornered enemy. Guan Wenbao then put down his crescent blade and returned to his chair to continue enjoying his breakfast. Why did Yan Luo Dian chase us here? Yan Kai could not help but be curious. The Fong family must have paid for them to come. Li Fan said calmly, the Fong family does not have any experts. They are all a bunch of useless good-for-nothings. Paying for someone is their only way. This bunch of trash. Yan Kai scolded. They really spoiled this Dao Lord's mood. Don't say that. That person called Heng Sha is quite powerful. Li Fan even praised Yan Luo Dian. After all, the white-letter assassins are very powerful. Next time, you don't have to do anything. This Dao Lord will deal with them. Yan Kai wiped his mouth, feeling all sorts of vexation. This trip was simply too vexing. Not good at all. Alright, eat your noodles. Li Fan comforted him. Boss, your noodles are really good. Ha ha ha, thank you. The boss lit up a cigarette and sat outside the kitchen, smoking. Li Fan was about to order another bowl when his phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and heard that it was Zhou Tai. Where did you go? Zhou Tai went straight to the point and asked directly. Do a quest. Hurry back to City A, Zhou Tai said, the mission will begin immediately. We can't. We are now on the Luoma Ancient Road, close to Tianjin. Li Fan said, "It will take at least 7 or 8 hours to get back. Stay there. I'll locate you." Zhou Tai said, "There will be a plane coming to pick you up soon." "All right." Li Fan laughed. "Since there's a private plane to pick you up, why not? Wait here, don't run around." After Zhou Tai finished speaking, he hung up. "Did you see that? Did you see that?" Li Fan beamed with joy. "We're going to have business soon. Lei, you'll be responsible for driving the car back. We'll take a plane back to City A. I'll go back and arrange a big job." "It's the big job you mentioned before, right?" Yan Kai nodded. "Sure, I'll be on standby. This kind of job would definitely be interesting." Moreover, according to the previous arrangement, Li Fan, Yan Kai, and Guan Wanbao would take the open road. As for Chen Junhua and Big Dipper, they would take the hidden road with the real escort. The route of the hidden road had not been decided yet. Li Fan was prepared to decide on it before they set off. When Li Fan and the rest were preparing for the next escort, an uninvited guest came to Murong's villa. An old man wept as he walked into the courtyard. He arrived in front of Murong and knelt down. Murong raised her hand and stopped the old man with her true energy, helping him up. "Mr. Fong, you're about the same age as me and your status is not that different from mine. Why kneel to me? Mr. Murong, you must seek justice for me." Mr. Fong looked like he was about to die. "My son was young and pure. He was kind and charitable on the Camel Ancient Road and had a good reputation. I didn't expect that the evil Guan Wenbao of the Fifan escort agency took a fancy to my son's sweetheart. In order to break them up, he joined forces with the little overlord, Li Fan, and killed my son. Mr. Murong, you're the leader of the pugilistic world. You must seek justice for me." "Oh, I see." Murong nodded. "I know. That Li Fan is guilty of a heinous crime. His subordinates are naturally not good people. Sob, 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 my poor son. He had a bright future, but he suffered an undeserved calamity for nothing. My condolences." Murong comforted the old man. "My family, Murong, belongs to the pugilistic world. We can't tolerate a single grain of sand in our eyes. This Li Fan has harmed the pugilistic world. I don't think he's any different from Li Wei of the Devil Cult. Yes, Mr. Murong, Villa Master Murong, you must seek justice for us. Old man Fong's son had died. He was crying and was very sad. Be careful not to hurt yourself. Go back and rest early." Murong said, "My condolences." Sob, 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 old man Fong went back crying. Murong turned his head and looked at Muronging, who was sitting next to him. "Did you hear that? You still don't want to give up?" "Maybe there's a reason." Before Muronging finished, Murong sneered. "My silly daughter, you're still dreaming. I told you from the beginning that this Li Fan is not a good person. He has already done such an intolerable thing, and you're still indulging him. I just like to see things with my own eyes." "You're so stupid." Murong said, "Now that things have come to this, you can't do whatever you want. What are you going to do? Send out the iron guards of the Murong family?" "No." Muronging directly refused. "Haven't the higher-ups already given the order not to touch Li Fan? I, Murong, have never listened to the government." Murong sneered. "And who am I, and who is Li Fan? Even if I really kill Li Fan, it won't have any effect. Li Fan's faction will at most find another person to replace him." "You're right." Muronging looked at her father, the supreme of martial arts. "But have you ever thought that all of this is based on ideals? You must kill Li Fan in one go. If you can't do it, then the government will keep finding trouble for you. At that time, our Murong family will lose support, and the glory will be gone. Hee, are you looking down on the power of the Iron Guards? Murong laughed. What's more, the fate of the Murong family is decided by you. What do you mean? It means that you're responsible for getting rid of Li Fan. Murong's words made her daughter's face turn pale. Don't forget your identity. The rise and fall of the Murong family are all on you. A sentence of Murong family's rise and fall tied Muronging. An hour later, Muronging changed into a plain white Cheongsam, followed by 4 men with iron masks, and walked out the door. Murong came to greet her. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.